long build-up to get here. In fact, as you know, the map started in 1984, if you read the bulletin, and the first time it's ever been used for a major race like this. So there's been a lot of anticipation. David's the chief organiser. David, welcome.
Thank you very much, Warren. We should also, a big vote of thanks to people like Lee Privet who helped find this paddock, and obviously all the central organisation through Stephen and his team. Has been a lot of help. And of course, I'm not really the only organiser. Nicola Dalheim and I are joint organisers of today. Nicola's out and about somewhere, but it's been very much a team effort. And Warren's put a lot of time in the forest with Tim Hatley, John Sutton, the occasional visit of John Sutcliffe, and Graham Tian. Over to you, Warren.
Thanks, David. So you may have just seen we gave an elite briefing. There's nothing special in there. It's typical of a big race where the athletes get a chance to ask some questions about the things they may not have already known about. All the organisers can pass on some information. We just passed on a little bit about the mapping, the comparison to yesterday's model, which wasn't so symbolic of the mapping, but more symbolic of the terrain. So no biggie there. But needless to say, there are fairly anxious faces going on. So one of the things we have got is a few nice little things. There's a welcome from a fairly famous orienteer that's going to come on the screen in a short while once that's organised, and a few vox pops which you may have seen on the Australian Orienteering website, or Orienteering Australia website. If you haven't seen them, then go over there and follow. It's a few of our young, up-and-coming and existing high-quality athletes responding to a few sort of almost irrelevant questions, David.
Possibly irrelevant, yeah. We haven't edited it the way you sometimes can. Okay. Another couple of things to highlight. Carl's already mentioned there's a quiz to entertain you on the way to the start. Pick up an entry form at the gate on the way out of the paddock in the top corner. There's 2 prizes. Warren's very kindly put up a straight compass, and we've got a box of chocks from the organisers. For the littlies, there's a very special string course being organised in the top corner of the other corner of the paddock. That'll be organised from about 10. It's very special because it's one of the few string courses ever to not use string, which is quite a radical departure, I believe, Warren. As a course setter, you'd know that.
Well, I'm more concerned about whether it passes the IOF rules, David. Is that the case?
Well, the controllers didn't check the string course. That's all I can say.
Well, maybe they're out there right now doing that. So we obviously the hope today is that you sit on the bank where we are right now. The commentating will be off the screen once we get to that stage. To add a little bit of excitement today, we are not just tracking the elite, which will probably fire up. Okay, David's going to give you the insight on all that.
So the first course we're going to track is men and women's 14. And we've tried to pick out some of the favourites and some geographically dispersed athletes. And we've tried to adapt the map so that no one can complain that they saw the map or any of those things. Then we're going to track the M and W 65s on the screen for about 3/4 of an hour to an hour. And then we'll feature the elite courses sort of late in the day from about 12:30. So we're trying to have tracking going all day. We hope no one complains, and it should add a lot of fun. So apologies to those who don't normally get tracked and those that would have liked to be tracked, but we thought we'd try to bring some focus on some different age classes.
I missed that, David, but we've got W14, M14, of course. W65s and M65s. There's a few M65ers nervous, David. And as a special treat, we've got the which we hope to present after the elite finish, but before the presentations, tracking of our most famous orienteers: Ina Murnan, Herman Wayner, John Robinson, and Bob Mowat. There's quite a few big stars in the M80, M85 course that probably worth having a look at. So that should be both interesting and fun. So worth hanging around afterwards. And I think we're having with the presentations, we're having spot prizes. So at the end, there'll be a few giveaways, so please hang around for that at the end after all the races.
So we also managed to pick up a Victorian government grant for the events today and tomorrow. And part of the conditions of that is we should use local suppliers of everything if we can. So I'm glad to say the catering of the barbecue is being done by the Eldorado Tennis Club. We managed to get a local coffee guy from Beechworth down, and you'll find there's a bit of a hidden cake stall. It's going to be an unmanned cake stall, a trust system cake stall, and we've actually supplied the cakes from Beechworth Bakery, and everything's $4, exactly the same price as you would pay in the store. So we're not planning to make any money on that, but please help yourself with some cakes and use the honesty box accordingly. Yeah, everything's as local as we could get it, and even our prizes were made by the Eldorado Pottery.
It sounds fantastic, David. So we're near the opening of the event. The first starter will be in the forest at 10 o'clock, but as a special treat, all the way from France via Switzerland, from a man who lives in Sweden, we have a generous offer of introduction from Thierry Giorgio.
Hello, I'm Thierry Giorgio, 14 times world champion and currently coach of the Swedish national team. Today I'm in Switzerland for the World Cup, but there is one place I really would like to be today. It's with you in this fantastic area for orienteering. So I have got the chance to look a little bit at the courses, and I think today you will get the best orienteering in the world. So you are really the lucky one. And I have seen the courses. It's going to be super tricky orienteering, a real adventure. So I'm not so experienced in this type of terrain, but if I will be there, I will really use my compass, because it's very diffuse orienteering in some place and quite green. So you need to hit the feature perfectly. And of course, if you want to really be fast in this terrain, you need to learn to be slow and to get the feature first with very intense map reading. So it's about compass and having a high map reading frequency if you want to master this terrain today. So best of luck to all of you. Have fun. Today there are no better place to be if you are an orienter. So enjoy.
Rightio, we've got another little treat coming up. Sorry about that little blowing of your heads clean off. We're going to just run a little interview now with a person who I think all of you are quite familiar with. In fact, with two people that you're all quite familiar with. We thought we'd just have a little chat to our world junior orienteering sprint champion, Aston Key, and I'm going to put that painful task of the interview to his mother.
Thanks, Carl. Well, I'm no longer Natasha. I'm now Aston's mum. So I no longer get any recognition myself. It's all gone to Aston. But obviously, we're very proud of him, and he's done an amazing job this year, and caused me to cry quite a lot. So, you little rat bag. We just thought we'd ask a few questions about the big day, and what you did, and you can tell some of these guys how it all unfolded, I guess. So for those who don't know, Aston won the gold medal at the sprint at the Jaywalk this year in Denmark, and then he got third in the long and fifth in the middle. But I guess maybe just some quick things. So maybe did you get a good sleep the night before the race?
No, not really. I guess it was the first race of Jaywalk, so I was very, very nervous, but I managed to get a few hours in. Yeah.
Yeah, and realistically, what did you think your best position might have been? Were you thinking medal?
Yeah, I was maybe hoping, but I really had no idea how well I was going to do. I hadn't really done any races against the best guys that year, so I was sort of in the dark, but obviously pleasantly surprised to see.
Yeah, okay, so that was It was really good. We all knew that he had the potential to have a good run on the day, but it does all come down to the day sometimes and a bit of luck and how other people run. But, that was amazing. So what about, breakfast? We all want to know, what did you eat for breakfast?
Plain. I just had plain stuff. I always eat just plain cereal and milk before a big race, so it doesn't upset my stomach. So nothing special.
Yeah, okay, that's always a good plan. Nothing different. What about? Did you have some favourite shoes or something anything special? Was there any favourite undies or socks or what about the socks? What socks did you wear?
I forgot the socks that I had planned to wear, so I had to wear these just normal black socks.
And did that put you off your game at all? Were you worried about your sock selection?
A little bit, but it's just socks. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, so how about sort of leading up to the race, the last hour or so before when you were in quarantine, what were you doing? Were you talking to others? Were you concentrating? Were you sort of getting in the zone?
I was just trying to be as relaxed as possible. So talking to my teammates, talking to other people, doing a warm-up, not stressing too much, not thinking about the race that much.
Okay, and I heard that Duncan Curry made a fantastic map for you guys to do your prep work and your nerding on. How well, when you turned up to the arena for that, well, not the arena, but to the start area, did you recognise features from all the nerding that you guys had done?
Yeah, so massive shout out to Duncan for making that map. It was massively important in the results that we had this year. But the quarantine was a little bit of a curveball. We didn't actually know where we were. We had planned the whole year the quarantine to be in this one area, and it was completely different. So we were a bit unsure. But then when I got to the pre-start, I knew exactly where I was and what was coming for me.
Okay, fantastic. I don't think that's ever happened to me in a race, so let that be a lesson to you youngsters. Actually, if you do the prep work, you can actually get to the start area and know the map sort of picture in your head. So that's what these guys do these days. They spend a lot of time preparing. Right, so what about sort of in the minute before? Were you really nervous or calm?
No, I was pretty calm actually. I wasn't really thinking about the race until 10 seconds before I started. I was just trying to stay as relaxed as possible.
And during the race, I know you said you made a couple little mistakes. What were you thinking? Anything? Was anything going through your head?
No, absolutely not. The sprint was really intense. So I had no time to think of anything except where I was going.
Okay, I heard you mention something. This is maybe not for sprint, but this is for long. We're having a chat in the car about preparation and gels, and that's probably appropriate for today for those doing long distance. Having some gels with you if that's what you do, if that's what you're used to. But Aston passed on a tip that he learnt from Steve Bird, so shout out to Steve. I don't know whether he's around, but something about using cordial or gels or something.
Yeah, so just before the race, I would like to have some sort of sugary drink or a gel, like cordial or soft drink, and I'll wash it around my mouth to really wake me up just before I start. So in my 5 to 10 minutes before. I did that at all the JOC races, and I'll do it today and at all big races. Okay, well done. Anything else you want to say about your trip? Thanks, Mum and Dad. All right, then. Thanks, Mum and Dad. Yeah, it was. All right, Aston's here, and Aston is happy to, I guess, to have a chat to anyone later after the race if you want to show Aston your course and get some comments from him. He'd be most happy to help. All right, thanks, Carl.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much. That was good. Okay, we're sitting at about 9:33. A couple of quick things. Still want to get a few of the elites here to pick up their GPS trackers. I realise many of them actually may not be here yet, but please do. Also want to just keep you clear on how to get to the start. It's going up past the toilets, up along the fence line, and then follow the white streamers, and you'll get to where you have to go. And that's really it for a little while. We've got a few things to show you, as well as I think we are wanting to help the organisers of the Sprint the Bay event. So we've got a little ad for them. We're going to show that throughout the day, because we certainly want to help our friends over the ditch with their competitions as well as with ours. Okay, thank you very much. Speak to you soon.
Place to be. nice areas. There's a little bit of variation, but there's been a lot of really challenging granite terrain, so that's been really fun.
I've got to say, especially the live things with the arena and the big screens and the tracking and everything, I think it's been great. It just adds an extra dimension to the event.
Very fun. It was very hot when I was running, but yeah, I think they did a really good job with the course setting. I think the courses are really good. All the maps have been super technically challenging, but yeah, just the environment that they've put up, that's also quite good.
The media this year's been amazing.
Yeah, with all the tracking, that's so so good to
the
watch.
big screens and everything.
Yeah.
It's cool, lots of hype and yeah, it's cool meeting like heaps of Aussie people and stuff like that, and making new friends and seeing like old friends. So that's really nice. Like everyone's real friendly, which is good.
Hashtag average map
of the week. Yes.
Yeah, that's
average map.
perfect.
That's one. Hashtag average map.
Hashtag Ethan's ripped.
Look, I'm gonna say spur posting. I think definitely there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Can't beat the classic hashtag orienteering is cool.
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember any. Dank running, that's one of them. Oh, hashtag orienteering is cool. It just told me those two.
I love orienteering mistakes and orienteering fashion. They're like the two best things on the internet.
I do like the hashtag silly season on the O Transfers account on Twitter for when all the transfers going around in the off season for the Scandinavian club.
6 short blasts. And no, I think you're good with that. You don't need any others. 6 short blasts. Check it out.
Hashtag average map and hashtag Aston Key.
Well, I can only think of one. Hashtag Aston Key.
Straight is great, or probably more recently straight is key, and then also no such thing as route choice, only weakness.
I definitely spend more time training, thinking and preparing for orienteering than I do on social media, but they're not mutually exclusive. A lot of my social media is orienteering related, sadly.
My social media time doesn't exceed my training time / thinking time.
I really hope not, but it probably does. Yeah.
That is a close one.
No. No way. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, 100% guilty.
I hope not. I'm not too active on social media. I do a little bit of following along on there and having a bit of a look around.
Probably not.
No, because I follow spur posting and always do spur or gully.
Depends on if I've had a bad day at work and I'm trying to avoid going out.
On my training days, hopefully it doesn't.
If you ask Warren, he'd probably say yes, he thinks I'm on my phone all the time, but no, not true.
Most of my social media concerns orienteering, so I think it just contributes to the time spent thinking and talking about orienteering.
My social media time is so minimal. I'm not a big social media guy. My phone is 1,000 years old.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, probably.
Except a lot of the social media time is put into spur posting, which technically is orienteering related, so we could link it back to being a training time.
This is always really hard. I usually say something along the lines of, it's like an extreme cross-country race where your course is compromised with a few checkpoints, which you have to find in order with the help of a map and compass.
It's like cross-country, but they forgot to put the tapes out.
I say it's like running around a certain terrain with a map, and you have to get checkpoints, and you probably did it at school camp.
I normally plump for the very easy, very safe. It's like cross-country, but you've got to find your way around the course.
Just a bloody awesome sport, really. Takes you to some fantastic places, even if you're not taking orienteering too seriously.
To someone who's not an orienteer, you don't talk about the compass. They just it's unnecessary. You say there's some damn cool map.
Competitive treasure hunting.
It's like a treasure hunt in the Hunger Games.
Well, they always tend to say it's that thing they used to do at school. I say, well, it's pretty different to that. Try doing it flat out and things.
But if it's someone who's already a runner or active, I quite often say it's like a cross-country running race, except you don't have the witches' hats to follow. You have to actually find your own way around the course using a map and a compass.
You don't?
Yeah. You save yourself.
Save yourself from the embarrassment. Yeah.
What are you going to Denmark for? Running.
Yep. Running.
It's like treasure hunting without the chocolate coins.
The weirdest thing in my O kit is probably a clue description from a random event 5 years ago.
I don't usually bring anything out of the ordinary to orienteering events, but if I would have to say something, I would say probably my pocket knife.
I'm not sure. Let's go and see. Oh, I forgot this was in here.
A real straight compass. It's designer.
Probably some muesli bars that expired in 2015.
Well, if you looked right now, there are some weird things in my orienteering bag. But I guess maybe the weirdest would be I have this shoe polish type stuff in there. And it's I don't actually polish my orienteering shoes. It's to put on the bottom of the compass so it grips to the map more when I'm thumbing the map. So
well, it's all routine stuff. It's all manky strapping tape and manky Vaseline and a bit of Panadol, some
an EMIT brick, and a paper cutout of an SI card.
Maybe like the cute little GPS sports bra thing.
Actually just cleaned it out. It normally gets pretty messy.
A tick remover.
I have got a sneaky pair of granny glasses in my O bag, which I'm yet to convert to, but...
Some antibiotics from the last time I had an infected knee from running into something. I think wherever you go in the world to orienteer, there's some pretty awesome things, whether it's the orienteering itself or all the different things you see in the countries you go to.
All the jaywalks that I've been on have been amazing, obviously. The Finland trip, when I went to EOC as well, was so much fun. And when Oceania was in Tasmania, that was such a good holiday.
Christmas 5 days in Armidale in 2015. Same place this year, get keen.
We went to Orient in Sweden and the terrain was really nice.
I'm probably going to have to say last year's O-Ringen, because that was one of the best orienteering races I've ever been to.
is just O-ringen every time.
Definitely O-Ringen in Sweden.
Yeah, O-Ringen this year was fantastic fun.
Yeah.
I think Eucla and O-Ringen are just epic events, very special. But the beer is definitely best in the Czech Republic.
I guess if I had to pick my all-time favourite event, it would have to be O-Ringen. O-Ringen every year is just something incredible. 20,000 people, all competing, 5 days. The atmosphere is just unmatchable.
I think to the OO Cup in Slovenia, like really, really nice alpine terrain with big depressions and hidden bunkers and caves and stuff.
I had a really good trip over to South Australia last year for the Oz Champs. We had a camper trailer that we'd just got, so 3 weeks away with the first week or so orienteering was a really fun trip with the family.
I'm going to say Mount Taylor.
Mount Taylor?
Pretty epic.
Which one?
In South Canberra.
Oh, which event?
Oh, I don't know. One last week. Didn't we have one there?
Yeah, Dante and I usually travel together, except I'm always the driver and he's usually...
The navigator. Kinda, not really.
Kinda, not really.
Google Maps does my job.
Yeah.
Navigator sometimes, but usually I'm just in the backseat listening to music, I would say.
Well, it's always with my family, Kathy, my wife, and my 4 kids, and generally I tend to be the navigator because I get a bit anxious about getting there.
Usually I go with my mum and I'm the front seat DJ and air conditioning controller.
Look, I'd probably say I'm the navigator. I'm too young to have a driver's license and I don't really like sitting in the back seat, so yeah.
I travel to events with my mum, usually, and I am the navigator.
Probably my mum or my dad, and I'm either the driver or the navigator.
Usually the passenger, going to orienteering events, providing the excitement and enthusiasm before the race.
I usually sit in the back seat with my sister, Tara.
When I go orienteering, of course I go with my friends.
I guess I'm usually the passenger and I'm not very good at navigating, so it's always a bit tricky.
Normally when I'm traveling to an orienteering event, I have my shop, Grassy Knoll Outdoor. I'm mostly setting up the shop at the event centre.
I think I'd like to talk to a lot of people, but I think Thierry Juju is someone I'd love to talk to, just because, with all his experience, I think I'd learn so much just by talking to him.
I'd have to take Thierry Juju, no question. I don't think I need to explain myself. He's an absolute legend. I wouldn't mind going for a coffee with Thierry. I know it's a very boring answer, and just seeing how his mind works and having a chat to him.
Aston Key. Definitely Aston Key because he won Jaywalk.
I'm sort of feeling to more Jensen nowadays.
Casper Fossa. No explanation needed.
Ebba Gansland, because I miss her and my other Swedish friends.
I think orienteering dates are a bit dangerous because you don't really want to beat a guy on the first date. So I'd take the Halden girls on a group orienteering date down under and show them how cool we've got it.
With Simona Niggli, and apart from the fact that she's multiple world champion and she's a lovely person, she is currently working as a barista, so I dare say she'd be able to make a very good cup of coffee.
Anybody with an Australian passport.
Well, I'd love to get some of my running mates out orienteering to make them have a crack at it, for them firstly to see how hard it is physically and mentally. So I'd love to get some of the boys out and drag them through the bush at flat stick.
Gonna have to say Aston Key, because I heard he likes coffee, and so do I.
I don't mind, they just have to be Swiss. Withering. We out.
I don't think I would pay $100 to have a coach. I think it's pretty cool in the orienteering community. We have enough experienced people who happily share their knowledge.
No, because it's just me versus the forest, and I can't control what anyone else does on the day.
No, I'm over the hill, but if we think about $100 per week, that sounds like a bargain, especially when you consider how much we invest in travelling to orienteering events.
No, I don't think so. I mean, firstly, I wouldn't be able to afford it, but also think that if I work hard enough, I could probably get there without having to pay.
Considering I'm probably going to be paying $200 a week to rent next year, I probably wouldn't. Although a top 10 placing at WOC for a New Zealand female would be pretty insane. So maybe if mum and dad went halves.
That's expensive.
Does you say for you?
Yeah, maybe I would. Yeah.
This is a tough one for me because I feel like I've got a very good support network around me. My running coach Dave, my family, my friends, and obviously people in Melbourne who I've lived with. And yeah, maybe if I could just seal a WOC top 10 next year by paying someone to do it, I probably would.
I think that's actually less about the result. I would be so intrigued to see someone enable me to make a breakthrough that enabled me to be at the top 10.
Well, I already have 2 coaches at home that actually paying me money.
I don't know, I kind of like our cute little ACT training group for juniors.
Probably not, considering I've already got the chance to crack the top.
Right, everybody, we are nearly at kick-off time. It's at 9:55, coming up to 9:56. So we'll be soon hopefully cutting to cameras at the start to see the people begin this great day of racing here at Kangaroo Crossing. I'm going to just hand over to one of the chief organisers here, who has a little song to sing you. Unfortunately, Warren challenged me to write a song for orienteering, with apologies to you too. I've been running round in circles, seen the same rock 30 times, 30 times. Seems like I made a blue, 'cause I still haven't found what I'm looking for. You get it? He's got more courage than me, I can tell you that much. Right, everybody, we're nearly there. So we should have cameras in the start to see them kick off at 10 o'clock. And it looks like everyone has figured out how to get to the start. There's a nice trail of people going up through the corner of the fence up there. So get ready.
the fibre brick road.
Righto, folks, thought I'd just make just a couple of quick announcements. We're having a bit of a challenge to get to our cameras on the top of the hill. So they have begun. The race has kicked off. So good luck, everybody. One little announcement about water. So we have a water cube here over beyond the finish tent. Apparently it's got a little leak in it. So go and fill your bottles. Fill them now because you may need to do that before it all leaks out. I'm sure it's only just a very small leak, but take the opportunity to go and fill your water bottles up so you're going to be good for the rest of the afternoon. The second thing I might just announce is the scores evidently in the Australia to New Zealand Challenge, the scores to date. We have them in categories from the Oceania Sprint and the Oceania Relay. In the sprint, New Zealand on a score of 5, Australian on a score of 15. The NZ team, I think they had the classes, if I'm reading this correctly, W16, 45, M40, M50, M70. The Aussies, all the others, not sure what that means. The Oceania Relay, the NZ folks, 6 points, Australia 14. Again, the New Zealanders running with W16, 18, 21E, 60, 50 and 55. I should say women's 60, men's 50, men 55. All the others are going for the Australian. So Australia is leading currently 29 to 11. Today, certainly plenty of challenges out there, so plenty of opportunity for the New Zealanders to catch right up. Well, how was that? We just had our first two people come in there. Completely missed them. Took me by surprise. Maybe they were... Actually, I don't know what they were doing because that's a very fast time, no matter what they were doing. I'm told we have the first finisher, Cormac McCarthy, in his Yarra Valley livery, looking magnificent. Well done, Cormac. While we're a little pause, quiet, waiting for the action, I thought I'd also just mention how you might have seen the ads before for Sprint the Bay over there in New Zealand. That's from the 31st of January to the 2nd of February next year. In addition, though, there's more. There's much more. There's the Lonely Mountain Sprints. And that's from January the 24th to the 27th, so presumably the weekend before. So you can have a massive amount of sprints if that's what you feel like doing over the summer holidays. So we'll keep on playing those Sprint Bay ads to give you a reminder, and I'll keep on reminding you about the Lonely Mountain Sprints as well. Okay, we do have, we're going to change things up a little bit today in terms of the commentary, and we're going to be bringing a few people in to do a little bit of talking. Now, I've got two gentlemen here, I guess you could call them that, from the UK. I've got Will Gardner and Peter Hodkinson, who are some coaches in residence that we had a couple of years ago, and they've decided to come back. So they're going to be competing here later in the men's elite, so we'll be seeing them in a world of pain later. But I'm just going to get their attention, hand them each a microphone, and I'm going to leave it entirely up to them for 5-10 minutes to talk about whatever they feel like, which could be a little bit dangerous, but I'll take the risk. Over to you, boys.
Thank you very much, Carl. I've no idea how to use this thing, but Will, is yours on yet?
Mine is now on. Yeah? No, it's on. You got to hold it quite close to your mouth, Pete.
All right. Just
Nicola's running over to tell us not to.
Hello, Nicola.
Val Robinson, if you are in the arena and you want a ride to the start, could you please go to the registration about now? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nicola and Val. Get to it.
Yeah, it's quite a long way up to the start. It's 2 kilometres, 100 metres uphill. So if you are leaving for the start, please make sure you allow enough time to get up there to make your start time. So Pete, we're back in Australia. We originally came over 2 years ago, 2017. What's changed for you since you were over here last time?
My hair's grown a little. I've grown a little, and
outwards or upwards?
Upwards, mostly.
Oh, Rob Preston's on the run-in, everybody. He's storming down to the creek.
Looking resplendent in that headband. He's just crossed the creek.
Oh, I didn't fall. That's good. He's powering through.
Come on, Rob.
I feel the air go past me. We don't know what position he's coming into because he's winning. He must be because he's the first finisher.
Or he could have mispunched. I think that's also a strong possibility.
So congrats, Robbie Preston, first finisher there on his course. I'm sure he's going to be in the hot seat for a while. M21E. Do we have when did he start?
Well, so that's the lead on the men's elite course, and so that means he's going to be up against you, Will, later.
Correct.
How do you feel about beating Rob later on?
I'm quite nervous, I've got to say.
It's a long way, Will, and
Long
I gather the climb was measured very inaccurately by Warren, so...
Yeah, it's rough, I think, is how I'd describe it. But yeah, it's having trained on here, it's quite a technical area. Very green in places, very diffuse, as Thierry was saying on the TV. Obviously, he learnt all his tricks from reading our attack points, Pete, from our trainings here.
I heard that actually Thierry learned all of his orienteering from Warren.
Oh, from Warren? That makes sense. So that makes sense. So I'm a little bit intimidated by the terrain, but I think you've just got to, throw that respect out the door and go and attack it. But yeah, I'd say that by the time I finish, I would hope that I would be in the lead. But I am the last starter, so maybe not.
It's very optimistic, Will, but it's good to be positive. If you'd like some tips on this terrain, I actually had a look at my training log from a couple of years ago when we came training here and looked for some top tips in case I'd learnt anything. What I wrote was good rocks versus bad rocks. So I hope that is helpful for you.
There's a lot of rock out there as well. What did you determine to be a good rock?
I didn't write that down, and I can't remember. So
big, small, big. I would assume big. Look out for the big rocks.
I think the big ones are probably good.
Yeah.
But watch out for the bad ones. They're going to get you.
Yeah. I reread my attack point as well, actually, last night whilst you were doing yours. And I read that I got distracted by the kangaroos because it's the first time I saw them on the trip. So don't get distracted by the kangaroos. They are not going to lead you to the controls. But that's the best advice I can give, actually. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Will. That's inspiring.
Useless, I think is what you mean. Absolutely useless. But it's a lovely, cool day here. Last time we were here, it was 40 degrees and baking down. So I think it's a perfect day for a bit of long-distance orienteering. The courses are great, and I think we're in for a real challenge. Pete, how are you looking to approach today in terms of it's going to be a long course, about an hour 40 for us. That takes quite a lot of mental, physical, and nutritional preparation. How have you taken steps to prepare for today?
Well, I've rested a lot in the last few days. Sat on a plane for a long time.
Lots of sleep.
Yeah, visited the bakery in Beechworth yesterday and the bakery in El Dorado. There was a bakery in Wagga Wagga as well, so I am fully nutritioned.
You've been carbo loading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me.
So and what do you think is the optimal kind of Beechworth bakery beasting to performance ratio?
For me, it's 1 date scone per long distance race.
Okay, I actually had a date scone, so I've prepared optimally.
We're level pegging, and it's going to be a close race.
Okay, yeah, and Pete and I start 3 minutes apart as well, so I think that's going to be quite a close call on the power of the date scone and who's going to win there. Did you have a coffee? I had a tea.
I had 2 coffees actually, Will.
Oh,
So you are in trouble.
Okay, right. I might need to. If anyone would like to bring a cup of tea to the commentary van, I would very much appreciate it, and we'll pay you back in kind.
Got another runner on the run-in just now. He's powering along. I don't know his name. He's wearing yellow, but he looks good.
He looks very fast there. I think he's coming in to take a new leading time on his course. Very strong finish. The creek really not posing a problem for him at all. I was a bit worried that people might stack it and deck it through the creek, but very light on his feet there.
We can only hope it'll happen soon.
Everyone, please beware, the barbecue is now open for business. I repeat, the barbecue is open for business. If you want a bit of a protein hit before you go, get there.
Yeah, you just hold the commentary for a while, Will. I'll be off to the barbecue any minute now.
What's your choice?
Beef sausage.
Beef sausage? This is the thing about Australia that you forget if you've not been down here for a while, that Britain is solely pork sausage, but here it's beef and chicken, and it really does blow my mind.
There's an awful lot of things to get used to when you move continents, and they can really hit your day-to-day routine, and beef sausage is one of those things that has really knocked me for 6.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on board with it, I've got to be honest. Beef in my burger and pork in my sausage.
Wise words, Will. There's also a cake stand up at the top of the hill. It's $4 a cake, as David was saying earlier. It's an honesty box, so just get in there, chuck your gold coins, and select your cake. They come with unlimited tea and coffee at the Beechworth Bakery, which I can recommend.
Yeah, well, it's powering you to a long-distance victory today, Pete. So anyone wants to win tomorrow, I'd suggest going to Beechworth Bakery today.
Now, if any of you out in the crowds are sitting there thinking, you know, Will just seems so professional on the mic. I don't know.
Well, thank you.
I don't know why he might be. Well, I have the answer. It's because he actually runs his own orienteering podcast. It's called The Run-In Podcast. It's presented by Will Gardner and the very talented Catherine Bett, who is the commentator on the IOF live feed for international orienteering events. And I'm going to let Will tell you a little more about it.
Well, thanks, Pete. You've set me up well there for a bit of a self-plug. So the idea of the run-in that Catherine and I started back in, when was it? June, I think, before the first World Cup round we had in Finland, is to really try and raise the profile of elite orienteering in Britain and internationally as well, because as a nation we're a bit maybe possibly not seen as elite as we could be, but I think the World Cup results that we had this weekend in Switzerland have shown that we're on the up as a team, and is really trying to increase promotion of our team. And Okay, so we've got a bit of an announcement coming up, but I'm going to keep you hooked onto what I'm saying before you get that. It is very important, so you have to listen to me. So the idea of the run-in is just to promote our team and yourself, Pete, and try and improve our visibility in the run-up to WOC 2022 in Edinburgh. So I just get to sit around and talk for an hour and a half to either yourself or Catherine.
Sorry, just posing for a selfie there. We'll be right back to the commentary.
So we aim to get interviews from everyone inside the British team, from people outside the British team. So Aston Key is going to be up on a very special bonus episode soon. We had an interview with the whole GB women's team who were victorious at JWOC as well. So we're aiming to get as many kind of English-speaking orienteers on, international orienteers as well. We've got the Swedish international Johan Runesson scheduled to appear over the winter as well. So really a large variety of elite orienteers to give you guys as much insight into how they prepare, either physically or mentally, how they structure training around their day-to-day lives, if they're working full-time or not. And just open up the world of elite orienteering for you. And Pete, you've been on it actually already. We've had an episode with yourself.
Yeah, it was a really good episode actually. They interviewed me when I was very hungover, and I have no idea what I told them, but I'm told it was interesting. I've not listened to it, and I won't be listening to it.
It was good, yeah. I didn't actually realise you were hungover at the time of recording, so that's an insight for me as an interviewer. But I think through Catherine's experience as an international commentator now on the IOF feed, you've probably all heard her, and you're watching of WOC this summer and of the World Cups if you've been viewing the Aussie exploits at those. And hopefully she's going to be getting more and more people involved. So if you would like to be interviewed on the Run-In Pod, available at all good app stores and podcast stores, including Acast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and the like, please come and speak to me and we'll get you on.
Also, I mean, it mostly follows the British team, Will, but I guess, if there's a lot of Australian listeners and there's a lot of requests, then you could certainly cover some more Antipodean side of elite orienteering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the aim is always to promote all of our English-speaking orienteering colleagues, so not just the British team, but everyone involved at an elite level who's representing their country, so Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians, even a bit of the US team, if we feel like we have to. But yeah, we'll aim for the Australians and New Zealanders first.
I'm sorry, Will, I'm going to have to cut you off from your lengthy chat about the podcast to bring a special announcement to everyone in the field. There is a water tank parked halfway down the hill, and it's full of water, but there is a leak, quite a sizable leak. So if you want your water, get to it now, fill your bottles, and then it won't be empty. So get there as soon as you can. Get your water while it's wet.
Yeah, because the temperature will be creeping up in all seriousness, so you don't want to get back from your run and find there's no water left. So please do make sure you go and fill up your bottles now, so you're not left disappointed after you finish. Moving on, Pete, we're gonna turn the table slightly onto yourself and where you've just come from. So you've just come from Switzerland, which has experienced the very first ever knockout sprint. Well, not the first ever, but the first of this new format of knockout sprints in the World Cup. You tell us a bit about that and what it was like.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, as you say, it was the first of its format, the first knockout sprint at the World Cup since last year's World Cup, where there was also one.
Was there? Whoops.
Boy, oh boy, I think I better just get the mic back for a second. So we are tracking a few different classes than normal today. We're doing women 14, M14, women 65, men 65, a couple of the super elites, as well as the usual women 21, men 21. Now, as you'd expect, there's a lot of classes, so it's difficult to pinpoint, but what we have going on the screen right now is our first runner that we thought we would just sort of focus a little bit on her, and this is Erica Enderby. She is running the women's 14 class. I think it looked like she had a little bit of a challenge there. It was either 1 or 2, I'm not too sure now, but this is what they call replay tracking. It's not live at this particular point in time. So we're also tracking Sophie Arthur. Looks like she got that number 2. She had a little bit of a hiccup there, but she's now doing something, maybe going the wrong direction there, but I'm sure she'll figure it all out. And we've got Michaela running through 6, heading to number 7. So this is our first class that we're tracking. We should also have some stuff for the men 14s, and then a little bit later we're going to track the elites, obviously off a long period of day. But we're quite fortunate today. Matt Ogden, a potential podium, I think, in men 21E, starts at 10:58. So we're going to be keeping an eye on him, at least as he's going through on his times. And then in the men 65s, we've got Richard Gardner, the father of Will, who starts at 11:06 in M65. So we'll be doing some stuff with him too. Little bit of information from up at the start. It is a long walk. It is a hot morning. Have a big drink before you go. There is water up at the start, but have a big drink before you go. Leave yourself plenty of time so you don't need to hurry.
The girls have got some like special. Oh, it's a girls one. I think it's a training top, just like a core and gym top.
We don't need to talk forever about the previous ones because they've been. Yeah. There's another one today.
Today, Belinda Lawford. So we can pick her up.
Under Australia tree at the Oceania Long event. It says.
You're coaching you.
Okay. But just be mindful that your feet back if you're standing in front of a speaker, so don't do that. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
All right, Will, we're back on, and
still roll.
we have some exciting news from the forest. If we're looking out at the radio control for Eleanor Enderby. She's Erica Enderby, I apologise. And she's going to be coming up to the radio control anytime now, we think. Maybe a couple of minutes. And she seems to be moving around the course very well. She's just gone through number 9, and not too long until she'll be reaching the radio control, and then from that point, we should see her coming through the arena and do the run-in.
Yeah, so looking pretty smooth at the moment. Nice, holding a line well on the downhills. The key with Kangaroo Crossing is really to keep your line when you're descending and contouring across the slope. So she seems to be doing that well and getting around the course with no problems. So I think this will be a good time. But it's going to be a couple of minutes until she does get here. So I'm wondering who were her rivals on the course. It's the W14. She's going to be first in. Who are we going to have to watch out for in the crowd? Who's going to be coming in later on in the day? So we've got Sophie Arthur. She's not too far behind her on the course. Miller Key as well. She was named as Rookie of the Year for the junior team for the Australian schools during the week. So she's on pretty good form at the moment and could be putting in a good result. So I think those two are definitely ones to watch out for. Who are your any other picks?
Well, there's a lot of competitors on this course, and for a second there, Will, I thought you dropped me in it because I'm not completely familiar with the W14 start list, but fortunately I've just seen there's a list of GPS track runners, and I'm going to read from that. Oh no, it's disappeared. I think there's Ingrid Shelton-Agar could be a good shout. She's a runner that I've heard of, so she's certainly going to be running today.
She did forget her shoes earlier though, so I hope that she's got some on, because otherwise she's not going to be going very quickly at all.
I also would back Kelly McKinnon as a strong shout for a top 3. Until we get some more radio times, of course, we can't be certain of the exact standings, but it's an exciting start list.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kelly's a New Zealander, if I'm correct. So she'll be bringing the challenge from across the pond to the Aussies. So let's see what she can do and see if she can win this Oceania Championships. Because really, this is true Australian terrain. The New Zealanders aren't going to be too comfortable in this. They're not going to be really flowing through it as nicely as they would the sand dune forest that they've got over there. So I think the New Zealanders in general could have a tough one today. But I think she could pose a threat.
Well, forgetting shoes is something that happens to the best of us, and I gather this morning that you also forgot your shoes, Will. How did you deal with that setback ahead of one of the most important races of your life?
Well, yeah, you're right. I've been building to this one for a couple of years now. Every single session has been focused on this. It's been 13.8 kilometers, 625 meters of climb.
So you never run any other distances or
Nope.
climbs?
No. Even if I'm on the track, that's what I'm doing. So that I've been really specifically training for this, and then I forgot my shoes. So what I did was I panicked, and initially thought, could I get around in my trainers?
That's what I'd do.
I thought, nah, the rock looks pretty tough out there. I don't think roadies are going to work. So very, very kindly, when I was over here in Australia, I lived with Warren and Tash Key.
Who are they? I've never heard of them.
Pretty small time, got to be honest. And you won't have heard their son either. He's never done anything.
You're saying he's small?
Average stature, I would say, is Tash. Warren's a bit smaller than that. But very luckily they're very helpful with supporting me anyway. So MV Shoes were kind enough to spot me, and I just owed them a few bucks for a spare pair of shoes that I forgot. So thank you very much to MV for spotting me for the spare pair today. And
what a shameless plug.
It's not shameless, completely appropriate. And we've got an elite coming in here into the map change. He's just taken his gel, picked up the map.
There's immense pressure on him right now. He's the first one here. He's looking at his map. Everyone's looking at him. I hope he chooses a good route.
Over the fence. It's a tough uphill that they've got to go through here.
Looks like he's running to the right. I'm going to bear that in mind as we've got to do this later. I might go to the right as well.
Yeah. So in our brief geeking session last night, Pete, we thought that it was probably going to be a long leg out of the arena. The look of his decision now, not going straight up the hill, kind of tells me that it's probably a long leg where you're going to want to go around.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good choice. There's, as we said, an immense amount of climb today and very poorly measured by Warren, so I would be wary of taking on too many contours.
Yeah. Oh, if I just look at the screen, we've got Erica Enderby coming into the pre-warning control as well. So do keep an eye out on the run-in for her finishing very shortly. But just going back to that long leg, I can still see him climbing the track. It's really quite a lot of climb that he's going to have to take on in this leg. Let's just guesstimate here because we're very rough people. We don't do anything precisely, as you can tell by my training for this event. I think it's probably going to, let's say it's 2 kilometers. That's a lot of climb you're going to have to take on that 2K if you're going all the way back up that hill.
Yeah, this 2K leg with 345 meters climb does look like a real toughie. I mean, I've not seen it, but, that would be tough.
I believe it's on a knoll next to a boulder in a re-entrant on top of a hill. So it's a tricky one. And we've got a finisher coming down the run in here. He's moving well.
He's got a fantastic shirt on as well. Let's give him a round of applause.
Wow, that's a great shirt. Looking good, and shorts for his choice as well. So, coping with the heat there very well. And we've got some live results possibly coming up now, if it works. I'm not sure. We'll give you that. We'll give you that time when it comes through on our system. But we've got Erica Enderby pre-warned to come through the run-in. She's on a time of 27:52 currently.
Looks like she's had a good run there, coming towards the end of the W14A course, which is 3.3 kilometres. So she's kept it well under 10 minutes per K in this very technical terrain, which I've got to say is impressive. And we can now see her on the cameras.
She's powering up the hill to that last control. God, I hope I'm moving that quickly when I'm finishing.
I'm sure you won't be. Here she comes. She's just going to come down this run-in, looking fresh.
Looking fresh. Give her a big round of applause, folks. The first finisher on the W14's course. A course of 3.3 kilometres. She's coming in. She's going to be way under the 29-minute mark.
This is a really strong finish. She looks confident. She's just going over the creek now.
Through the creek.
Smoothly done. And just final push to the finish line.
Go on,
now.
Erica. She's coming up. Running cameraman following her there. He's having a job to keep up. That's a time of 28:44 for Erica, and it'll be a good time. A very good time.
Yeah, I'd say that's a strong time. If any of the others can get near that, I'll be really impressed.
Yeah. Next up of our track runners is going to be Sophie Arthur, so we'll have to keep an eye on her and see how she's doing. I can't quite remember the time she started at, so we'll have to get a clock on that one.
And Ingrid Sheldon-Agar has also just reached the second control. She seems to have hit the first two quite cleanly, so it should be interesting to see how she goes. She's at the top of the hill now, then the next few legs comes down the hill, the next 3 legs down the hill, and that's really where it gets tricky because you can run too fast. It's harder to see the crags coming from above, so that's certainly a challenge to be aware of.
And on our screen now, we've got a junior from South Australia. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. I'm not clued up with my junior orienteering in Australia, I've got to be honest.
Well, I've got to say the Australian organisers today have done a fantastic job putting 2 very knowledgeable Brits on the commentary who know almost none of the runners. But
and we have an Erica for an interview. This is great. So if I stand up, Erica, you sit down. You've been working hard. And Erica, how was it? How was your run?
It was good, just really hot. But it was really hot, but some parts really steep, but I liked it. It was a good course.
Yeah. So what was your approach before you started? How were you kind of thinking you were going to run the course before you started, and then how did you end up doing it?
Well, I wanted to use my compass a lot and take good bearings, and just use all the rocks to my advantage and that.
Yeah. So that sounds like a very solid plan to me. Good compass, use the rocks and solid on your bearings. Did you have any problems out there?
Not really. I had a pretty clean run. Just a few little mistakes where I couldn't find it. It was a bit hidden.
Okay. So just a bit tucked away in the circle.
Yeah.
Great. That sounds really positive. So it's going to be a time to beat then. If you're pretty clean out there and you look good on the GPS as well, then I think that's going to be a solid time for the finish. Any tips you'd give anybody, or anything you'd not want them to know, because they'll already be out there?
Yeah, not really. Just take bearings, and there's not much else.
Okay. Take bearings and just shoot and hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you'll be running tomorrow?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I will.
How are you gonna change your mindset from the long distance today to middle distance tomorrow?
I'm going to focus more on my navigating since I am so tired from all the races.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's been a big week.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. And how were the races earlier in the week for you?
Pretty good. Just all of them are very hot and tiring, hilly.
Yeah. We've got another finisher down the run in here for South Australia. Go on, mate. So yeah, I mean it's been very hot all week, and having to cope with that's been tricky. So so you've done very well today, because it's creeping up there again temperature wise. So what are your kind of tips for surviving in the heat?
Drink lots of water. But
Always good?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, not much else.
Just drink lots of water, stay in the shade.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well done, Erica. Hopefully your time's going to stay up there for a while, and we'll be celebrating you as the champion at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice one.
That's a fantastic interview there from Erica. That advice on the compass is almost exactly what Thierry Georgiou said earlier in the day, I think. So
I know where he got it from.
Stuff.
Nice one. Really good. And we're having another runner here through the M21 Elite map changeover. He's looking a bit more tired than our friend from OK Tisserand who came through before, but maybe he's pacing himself better.
Warren Key standing there by the map exchange, watching him with a beady eye. He's clearly interested to see what the runners decide to do with his route choice today.
I would be intimidated if Warren was stood there looking at me like that. If Miller Key ever brings a boyfriend back to the house, that's the kind of look you'd get. Oh, he was going to go straight over. Now he's pumped for the round route on the right. Interesting. Very interesting. So he clearly took a long time to decide about that. Thought about going straight over. In the end, went for the round option. So interesting choice there, Pete.
Well, I think it's very important on these really long route choices to not rush it. Take your time and take the best choice, because if you spend 10 seconds standing there picking a route, you could pick a route that's half a minute faster.
3K, 500 metres of climb, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, I think it was approximately 504 metres climb on that leg, which we haven't seen. But, you know, he seems to be choosing a route which goes nice and gently up that track, so that seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I'm getting in the mode for a good track run. So it's quite spread out at the moment on the elite courses. So Pete, you've got a bit of paper in your hand. Tell us what it says.
Yeah, it's absolutely nothing to do with the elite courses. Thanks for that segue there, Will.
My pleasure.
Actually, it's a talk about the Junior Invitational talks that have been happening this week. I hope some of you have been to see them. I've been told they've been very popular. Had over 100 people at the first one by Greg Barber. That was at the Oceania Sprint, and there's been one every couple of days. Oh, in fact, every day there was one at the Australian Long from Steve Craig, and we've had one from Marina Iskakova. And the reason I'm telling you about all this is that we have another one, the final one coming up today, from Belinda Lawford, and it's going to be taking place under a shady tree at the end of today's race. And it's recommended really for anyone who's interested in improving their orienteering, especially juniors. We've had a good turnout from the New Zealanders, and this talk is about your coach and you. Dare to be the best. So I think Belinda will have some interesting things to say there. She's been a member of the World Championships team for Australia for quite a few years. She's also been through Jaywalk, and she's certainly got a lot of experience of coaching and improving her orienteering.
Yeah, no, it will be a fascinating talk, and like Pete said, the most have been attended by the Kiwis so far. So Australian juniors, if you're looking to improve and beat your Kiwi counterparts, I think you better go along and attend, because they're going to be getting a bit of a leg up on you for next season already.
In fact, Belinda, I think, knows a great deal about good coaching, as she's actually based in Melbourne, and a couple of years ago she experienced some really good coaching from a couple of coaches in residence that I'm aware of.
Is that Ralph Street and Peter Bray?
Yeah, it's probably them.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't think there's been anyone else.
Yeah.
We've got a whole host of juniors on the run-in now. This is crazy. We've got 4 people chasing each other down.
Head to head, neck and their elbows are flying everywhere.
Here we go.
This has been violent. So I saw them actually while you were talking, Pete. I didn't want to interrupt because it's obviously a very key message about coaching that we're sharing here. But they were on the other side of the elite changeover there, and they all made a mistake to the final control, just following each other, I think. So, violent to get to the line there to win.
It's a brutal sport, orienteering, and these guys have showcased it brilliantly.
Yeah, there's the M10A course as well. So you had there Ben Marshall, Matthew Layton, Alton Freeman, and Hayden Dent all coming through. It was Hayden Dent who had been doing the business and leading the train, because he was 2 minutes clear of Freeman, who was a further 3 minutes clear of Alton as well. So Hayden Dent really following after his father there, and a great kick on the run-in.
Yeah, that's very impressive. That's a family to watch out for, certainly all of them. Very talented indeed, and it looks like he's led the train very nicely there. He's gone into the lead.
Yeah, no, excellent stuff. And that's the thing with this terrain. You can really pick up a few runners out there if they're making mistakes. So a really impressive performance there, not to get distracted by the other runners around him.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to be a problem you have to worry about, Will. You got the last start today, so I expect it'll be a lonely, long affair for you.
Yes. Last start, 11:57. Please don't pack out the arena before I'm finished, because I am on a bit of a holiday mode at the moment, so my navigation possibly isn't quite where it needs to be. So be kind, don't laugh at me, and have a beer ready maybe by the time I'm done.
Yeah, so 3 minutes starting ahead of you is myself, and then 3 minutes ahead of me is Simon Uphill. So when I see you out there, Simon, I would be nice if you could give me some good encouragement, and any pointers you could give me, or water or gels, would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I did get my gel. My gel's wrong today. I was kind of hoping to buy a couple here, but I should have bought some yesterday, because I'm going to have to take a couple of solid bars with me, I think, which is not my optimal nutrition strategy, but hopefully it works. I'm pumping for a long shot here. And but yeah, so Simon, Brody, Matt Ogden, anyone, please help.
So you seem to have forgotten your shoes today, Will. You forgot to bring energy gels for a very tough long distance.
Yep.
And you're a coach of elite orienteers. What sort of advice would you give to elite orienteers about preparation for a major race?
I would say make a list the night before, and follow it. No, in all seriousness, I used maybe one. I brought enough, but then used one too many earlier in the week on a couple of long runs I did. So that's my preparation for
long runs.
13.8k and 625 meters of climb.
That is a long way.
Yeah. Top tips of preparation from me. So I'd say pack your bag the night before. Make sure everything is in the same bag, not in two different ones. Don't leave your shoes on the porch of your parents' cabin. Have good friends that can help you out in a bad situation. None of the above have I followed, by the way. And I would say just be calm and confident in your own decisions.
That's great advice, Will.
Yeah, I'm not calm and confident. But looking at the screen now, we've got moving the topic away from myself because I seem to be talking about myself a lot, and everyone go and listen to the running pod. We have Jamie Wolford on the M14A. We're tracking him at the moment. We've got a camera out in the forest. But the forest looks lovely. Look at that, Pete.
That bit is absolutely beautiful. There's nothing on the floor. It looks stunning, and hopefully we'll soon see Jamie coming into view. Looks like he's on the tricky downhill legs that we were talking about earlier, so when we see him, he may be moving at quite a pace.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the lie of land here. So you're looking up the hill, you've got an open space behind you which looks like it's covered in bare rock. Just as we've got a finisher here on the M10A as well. Go on, mate, you're doing well.
Looks like he's sponsored by Weet-Bix. That's incredible.
That's a great sponsor. Bloody hell. Need to speak to him about how to market yourself properly because I'm not doing the best job, clearly. Weet-Bix. And there's another finisher here on the run-in.
It's one of the very talented Den Clan.
Go on. Can he beat Hayden? He's got a good finish. He's trying hard. The map's not very aerodynamically folded. But he finishes well there.
That was a very strong touch-free punch. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I was very impressed, actually. A shout-out to Matt Crane the other day, who didn't even reach over to touch the touch-free with his hand, but just ran straight through it.
Maybe he never saw it.
Maybe he never saw it. Maybe he never punched it. But that's Connor Dent there. That's a time of 30:14, so he's a little bit down on Hayden on the winning time, but I'm sure he's running speed-wise has been the same, but maybe just a couple of mistakes crept into Connor's run there.
Just popping into the commentary tent just now, we've got Simon Uphill, who I was talking about earlier. He's just collecting his GPS vest, but I hope afterwards he'll come along for a quick word. He might be able to give some genuinely useful advice on Australian terrain.
We'll grab him now. Simon, top tips for today.
I think obviously there's a lot of rock out there, but like most Australian maps with that, you've still got the strong features in the contours underneath. They probably provide a lot of opportunity to get some more confident features, the big gullies and spurs, and then only worrying about the rock when you have to. For those of us that will have the, I guess, fun experience of getting over to the eastern half of the map, it gets a fair bit greener over there, so then we might really have to slow down and be a lot more careful with the compass through potentially some vague green. I'm looking for the specific rocks, but hopefully it should be pretty fun. I'm sure Warren's made it very challenging for us.
Said with a little bit of trepidation there. Predictions for the podium?
I'm not sure. I think there's probably any number of us that could be up there today. Matt coming over from New Zealand for this weekend certainly throws another one in. Aston coming back from Europe as well. Both of you guys being back as well. There's quite a strong field at the top, I think. So anyone's race today.
Sorry to just quickly interrupt this interview, which is fantastic. Just to let you know, for any competitors who are looking for a lift up to the start, perhaps if you're less able or elderly competitors, there's a space for 6 competitors in a car going up to the start, leaving very shortly. So please go to the registration tent if you are interested in taking up one of those spots.
And then we'll just grab one last question with you, Simon, before you go and start preparing for your race. Top 3 for the women's race.
Oh, tough call. Again, probably a number of people in there. I know...
Probably about 3, I reckon.
Well, you'd think that Tash is probably looking to make a bit of a point, given that Warren set the courses, and she should hopefully be looking to have a strong performance. Belinda being back this weekend after a week off in comparison to some of us being here the whole time, so hopefully she's feeling pretty fresh as well. And I guess got to throw a bit of support behind Bridget. She's been running well this year, so hopefully she can keep that up and have a strong performance today. And I'm sure there's still the others as well, but I'll go for those three.
Good choices all around there. And we heard a yell of thank time from Bridget, so Bridget's feeling confident. And thanks very much, Simon. Good luck for your race. And we're joined here by Hayden Dent, Connor Dent, and Matthew Layton. So, boys, you've all just finished the men 10s course. Pete's going to run through you. How was it for you all?
We're going to start with Hayden. How did you get on?
I got well.
That's fantastic. Did you find all the controls look cleanly?
Yeah.
And do you think you'll have beaten your brother Connor?
Yes.
Connor, what have you got to say about that?
No.
No, you're not game, Connor. Come on. What was it like coming into the arena, down the hill, and into the crowds here? How was that feeling?
It feels good.
And how's the support from the crowd today? Did you get a lot of nice support?
Kind of.
Sounds like there was good support from some areas, and maybe his brother wasn't cheering so loudly for him. We've also got Matthew Layton. How was your run, Matthew?
It was really good, and I think I did pretty well at the moment. And it was pretty fun.
Yeah, pretty fun. Yeah. What was the for all of you? What was the funnest part of the course?
Riding down, running down the hill to the controls.
So running down the hill to the controls for Connor. Hayden?
The really rocky part that you had to keep jumping through the gaps.
Okay, jumping through the gaps on the rocks. And Matthew?
Probably the single track.
Oh, the single track. Trying to act like a mountain bike down there. Yeah. Okay, so you're a fast descender, Matthew?
Yes.
Oh, he's obviously the boy's got confidence. I like it. So what would you give us as tips before we go out there? What do you think we need to know? And anything will help.
Lean backwards when going down steep hills because you don't have as much leeway going forwards so that you don't trip and fall over.
Okay, lean backwards going down the steep hill so we get the momentum going with us. That's good advice.
Go fast down the hills.
Yeah, go fast. What about the uphills?
Don't sprint up them.
Pace yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, good pacing. These are good tips actually. I'm liking these. Hayden?
The rocks, there's heaps of small rocks you can easily roll your ankle on, so look down when you're running.
Okay.
This is all fantastic advice. Thank you, boys, very much indeed. It's really good of you to come in. And it sounds like Hayden and Connor, your dad could listen to some of that advice as well. Martin, that was go slowly up the hills, and I think they said go slowly down the hills as well. That's a big round of applause for these boys. They've done a fantastic job on the commentary today.
Nice one, guys, and well done on your courses, and good luck for tomorrow as well. I hope it goes just as well for you.
Thank you very much.
And I just saw when we were talking to the to Matthew, Hayden, and Connor there on the tracking, Miller Key and Erica Engelby were head-to-head on the W14, so that's going to be a very close finish before them. Sophie Arthur just making a mistake at the start of the course that set her back, I think, Pete.
Yeah, but there's always room to come back in. This is a very technical course, and if you make a mistake early on, you never quite know where other people are going to make misses later on. So you just got to stick to your plan and keep doing it as you can. But it looks like it's really neck and neck between Miller Key and Erica Enderby here. They're coming into number 6. Miller is just now, and we're tracking her live against the time that Erica already ran. And it looks like I couldn't call who's leading at the moment.
No, that is bang on neck and neck. There's no evenness there whatsoever. So. Sophie Arthur clearly had a little bit of problems on the first control, maybe, but she's back on track now, and sadly Ingrid Shelton-Agar as well is just struggling on the fourth one there. So head to head for literally the dots are on top of each other for Miller and Erica. So this is going to be very, very interesting because Erica said she was clean through that last phase of it. So Miller's got to be really moving fast and going clean as well to get that winning time.
Yeah, the pressure's on for her here. She's got a big uphill leg coming up to number 7. So if her fitness is good, maybe this is a place to gain time. But, if you put yourself in the red on the uphills, then you're only going to put yourself in danger trying to read the map with blurry vision going downhill.
Yeah, as Connor just told us as well, you don't want to sprint up those uphills. You need to save that energy.
Well, we're going to keep following this course. It's very exciting to see what happens.
Yeah. And just going back to the men's 21 elite course, we've got a chap here from Queensland going through the spectator control, taking a big long drink and deciding where he's going. But we've got Matt Ogden, one of the favourites for today, is out on the course. He has just started. How do you think he's going to go, Pete?
I think he's going to go very well indeed. He's technically a very strong orienteer, and it's a bit of a dark horse. You never quite know what shape he's in. He could be absolutely flying today. I have no idea, but I think he's going to be very clean. So if we start making mistakes out there, he'll certainly be on our backs.
He will, and I had a very brief little chat with him earlier, and he looked confident. He was spouting, sweet nothings about how he beat all the Australians when he last came to the granite terrain. So he's confident, and he's out there looking for the win. No other options. And we've just seen that Queensland chap going for his spectator go left. First person to go left on that route choice.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it must be quite a wide route choice. Warren looks pleased with himself.
He's smiling like a Cheshire cat. I've never seen him so happy. I think there's a bigger smile than when his kids were born. So, Warren, are you going to tell us which one's the best?
G'day guys, how you going? Well, I'm pleased as punch that we've had two go one way and one the other, so we'll wait and see how the averages go. See how long Simeon took at the map to look. It's probably 20 seconds. Maybe we should have a big clock over there when you guys come through.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the times are. I would say, Will, you should just take your time and don't rush it. Have a sit down. Maybe have a think about how it's gone so far, write some notes, and then take on the next leg.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice, and I think get the hourglass out for me, Warren. It's going to be that long. And so
we can see Sophie Arthur now on the camera. She's running across the field towards the. Looks like she's running towards the arena.
Yeah, I think that's coming up to the second last to the last control there.
This is fantastic footage we've got here on an absolutely glorious day. She's just coming up to this tricky fence crossing.
Watch your head on the barbed wire there.
Very
She's through fine.
done.
So if you look to the right in the arena, you'll see her coming over the hill to your right hand side. And Pete, how do you think she's got on?
I think it looks like she may have had a little bit of difficulty on some of the technical controls earlier in the course, but she's moving well here. And yeah, well, I think she should be certainly looking to be pleased with some of her performance on the later controls. It's very difficult terrain, and you've got to look for the positives where you've done well.
Yeah, she's currently sitting, looking like she's coming to a comfortable 5th place, just behind. It says Andy Heathcote, but that can't be right because it's the women's 14. So
go on, Sophie. Last push to the finish.
Go on, Sophie. So I'm not sure if Andy Heathcote has been sneaking down onto the W14's course, but
yes,
that must be. It's on the W14s. They wouldn't get the entry strengths. Yeah, she's just into 5th place there behind Andy, who's on the W14's course. Sorry, I'm just confusing myself and listening to my own voice. That's my fault there. Apologies for that. So well run, Sophie. Very good stuff. Getting yourself back on track and hitting those tricky downhill legs very well. So good stuff. And Miller Key, we're just seeing on the tracking, is just inching ahead on the uphill from Erica Enderby. So clearly her fitness is telling there.
Yeah, it looks like she's run very strongly up that hill. I mean, it's still only a small lead, so she's eked someone out there, but she's still got to remain clean on these final few controls. And if she's tired, it'll still be tricky. But it is looking good for Miller here. It's a very strong run.
Looking like she's about 30 seconds up now. So if she's really clean on next, we know Erica said that she just slipped in a couple of the circles and couldn't see the controls where they were placed. So it could be interesting as to whether Miller holds this little gap that she's eked out there. So that's really good from her. I think, Pete, our time in the commentary box might be coming up because we need to go and prep for our own runs.
That's terrible news for everybody out there who must have been really enjoying it.
I assume from the lack of booing that it has been a success and that everyone's been gripped onto our every word.
Well, if you liked it or if you didn't like it, please send all your complaints to Warren Key. It was his idea to stick us on here with absolutely no preparation or idea of what we were doing.
But I think we've done an okay job, and thank you for everyone who's come into the commentary box to be interviewed. It's been great talking to you and talking to the juniors and seeing how they went. So they really are the future of our sport, and seeing them do well is great.
Yeah, we're off to go tackle this enormous course, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's time to get dressed and warmed up and we'll put you back into the capable hands of Carl Dalheim and Jim Russell, who's just turned up in the tent. Hello, Jim.
Thanks, Peter. Good to see you back in the country. Hope you enjoyed out there. This map, Peter, was mapped for the first time 35 years ago as a warm-up map for WOC 85. How old are you, Peter?
Not that old.
Yes, some people around here are 35 and more, so yes, so this map outdates you, Pete.
I just noticed that Simon Uphill's having a lot of problems putting his socks on today. So I'm not sure Simon's the man. Look at him go. Oh, he's up to the left foot now. Fantastic. Really good action there.
Henry ran the M14, but he's not tracked. We have here in the commentary Henry. Henry, welcome. You're back. M14. You weren't one of the track runners, but apparently you've had a good run.
Yeah, no, it was lots of fun out there. A little couple of mistakes, but no, overall it was a really good run.
How you been going all week? It's you're a new face to orienteering. You look like you're a good runner.
Yeah, I've done pretty well over the week. As you said, first time here. I've really enjoyed my time here, and didn't do that great, but didn't really come with any expectations. So, really enjoyable experience overall.
So, being part of the school team, is that your perception of orienteering is a little bit different to before you arrived?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of fun and games going on, but it's lots of fun being here with the team and just enjoying it with everyone else.
Well done for today. How's your race? How well do you think it's going to stick up to the times?
Well, I thought I had a pretty good run, made a couple of mistakes, but there are still some pretty good runners still to come, so we'll see how my time holds up. So yeah.
That's a good answer. Who are those runners that you think could be the favourites?
A couple of the boys who are getting tracked, like Tom and Owen, but we'll see. There are still a couple who are yet to start, so we'll see when they come through.
Well done. One last question. What school do you go to?
Trinity Grammar and Kew.
All right. And is there orienteering involved at Trinity Grammar?
Very much so. Got the Arthur boys with me there, so they've really helped me this week.
Yeah, they're absolute guns, those two, and their dad and mum very much involved in orienteering. It's great to see you here, and well done.
Thanks.
That was fabulous. I just thought it was... I mean, we're having plenty of people running through into the finish, but I saw one boy come through there just a couple of minutes ago. That was Toby Casalato, finishing in first place in M16A. So Toby should be quite well known to lots of people. So that was really good to see. A good run from him, and we've got a lot more people just continuing to come through.
Can you zoom into us, or? I don't think you can zoom in. It's just a solid shot. You can actually zoom in quite close, but
so just let me know that we'd like to use it sometimes.
So if we sit here and here,
yeah, you're just going to be more that way because Carl's head was.
Okay, right. So if the person sits there and faces towards the camera,
yep.
So we'll mark that as the spot. Okay, perfect. All right.
Nice little course that for him.
So about the right level, isn't it?
I reckon. Yeah, someone when I first heard they said,
just looking here, which has got basically evening, but I've also got I think the radio controls for them all are quite late in the course. Richard started at
Thank you, must have dropped, thank you. Good work.
I'm not sure. Oh no, Richard's just begun. 11 was 6. I don't know whether he took his seat.
Robbie, yeah, Miller's coming down the
Righto, I think I might just have to intervene here a little bit. I can see Miller Key running down there to soon cross over the road, I think. So she must be coming to the last section of her course. And we know that she's in a bit of a head-to-head with Erica. So this is really exciting. We'll see how things are with the women 14A.
Yeah, okay, I can't see you yet. You'll be to the right a bit.
I think we're... We're looking up to see Miller Key somewhere. Oh, we've got a retrace now. She's coming through the fences, you can see there near the finish. She should come into sight fairly soon. So what you see on screen now is a couple seconds behind the actual real life. So it won't be long before we'll see her appear towards that second last control and then on to the finish, and we'll have the live video footage there if all goes well. This could be it right now. Searching for her. Dad's not too worried. Yes, he should be.
That's her.
Yeah, that's her.
So they're just running along with Miller, and while that is occurring, I'm just going to mention Jenny Bourne is just running into the finish. I'm thinking she'll be having a good time.
Gets wet up.
Oh, she took a tumble. We've got some real,
Look at your map
some real
first.
action there.
So she should appear on the creek side very shortly. If you gaze down to the creek, she's coming around that way. I think we can glimpse her now.
She's got 154, it appears, to get in front of Erica Enderbees. This is really good. This is really close. It's what we were hoping for. I can see Miller working her way down through the creek. There she is on screen now.
So she's working her way up to that last control.
This is going to be very close. This is fantastic.
She's got a nice pair of shoes on her nose, Carl. Yeah, she is very thorough there. Notice that she listened for the beep on the unit.
Lizzie.
Here she comes
Lizzie
into
is
the
trying to
finish
steal the
chute.
show. Here we go. We have Millicky coming into the finish, and it's looking to me that she's going to be running into first place in the women 14A. It's very close. We were pleased that we made some of the right selections of the people we wanted to track. It's difficult to know. You are flashing, you're in the blue, you're live, that's working. And you need a vest or what? Are you right? Good luck out there, Vanessa. Righto, I might just continue a little bit with Jim here in the tent with me, which is good to have someone else here. We lots of results coming in. We can see lots of latest punches and some numbers up there about how they've gone. We've got Hayden leading M10A. We've got Ian Meyer. He's an enter on the day.
And we've got one of the cockatoos. There's one of the Miller boys there on the map change.
Ah, nice.
So he's just picked up his second
Let's
map.
watch. Which way is he going to go, you think, hey, Jim?
So he's going to get up. Well, I haven't seen the leg yet, Carl, so I don't know which way to go or what to go, but I know he's going to get out to the road first. Then
I have, and I know I'd be doing just what he's doing.
I think he's having a very good look at that map now. He's
Having a bit
down
of a
on his
think.
knees. This is a big decision. Which way will you go? Is it right? Is it left? Okay, so we've got Miller Key here, who's just come in. We tracked her on the GPS. What was it like wearing the GPS today, Miller?
Well, it made me a bit more nervous than usual. Well, it kind of stuffed up my first control because I was a bit nervous and panicking. So it was very different to my normal races, but still very good.
And how did you go today? Did you think you went well after you settled down? I mean, you got over the first control nerves. Did you settle in? You seem to be running pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I made a few little mistakes, but nothing big. It was really good out there, actually.
It's a very nice course. And who set the courses, do you know?
My dad.
Do you reckon he did a good job?
Yeah, he did a really
I
good
had
job.
I had a look at your course there. That looked like a really lovely little moderate course, didn't it?
Yeah, it
Stayed
was
up on
quite
top of the
fun.
plateau, rolled around. Here we have a replay now on the big screen of Miller and the others. You can see Sophie Arthur went for the straight.
Yeah.
Miller, you went the track.
Yeah.
So away safe. You seem to have hit number 2 pretty comfortably there as well.
Yeah.
You head down out here for the top of the gully.
Yeah.
So you just make sure you compass points there, and it looks like you've nailed that one as well. So what are you doing now on the way to 4? What are you thinking? You're going to get out to this other track, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to hit that track, and then I was going to use like the bends to angle me down, but I saw a control on another piece of grey and got the wrong one.
Okay, so you lost your lead there a little bit.
Yeah.
And this one here, back down the gully, and it's out to the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So just up onto the spur. Nicely done. This one's just across the face and up into a little gully. You're a little bit wide there, were you? Oh, no, no, you're right. What are you doing now? 7. Tell us what's happening on 7.
Well, I was aiming for the track and using that bend to kind of angle me in towards those rocks.
And you seem to get that pretty comfortably. Now we're heading out to 8. What are you doing here? Going around the bottom of the rock?
Yeah, I'm heading down to the rocks and knowing if I hit the fence, I've gone too far.
Okay, and this one here, just going to use the link for the gully, are you?
Yeah.
Keep to the side of the gully before you get to the yellow curve around to the right and nail that nicely. What are you doing here? Heading out to the track?
Yeah, I was going to the track and then going to head along and up.
Yeah, so this is just a couple of little boulders on the right of the track.
Yeah.
Back to the track now. What are you doing now for 11?
I'm going around that track and then I was going to head up through the spur.
Yep, and it looks like you're pretty good to that. Got that one now. Back out to the track. Now down the gully, through the fence, and you're nearly home.
Yeah.
You had a bit of a tumble somewhere in here, didn't you?
Yeah, I tumbled through going to that fence just before I did the corner turn.
Yeah, that was very majestic. We had that all on camera.
Yes,
So-
very nice.
Yes, well, thank you, Miller, and very well done.
Thank you.
Someone's Miller.
Sorry?
Someone's Miller. Someone is Miller.
Oh, women's 14. Okay, where are you? Hey, there. Okay. So we've also got Ingrid here. Now, Ingrid, you've just completed the same course as Miller, W14As. You're in currently 8th position. How was your run today?
Good. Yeah. That was like at number
Just hold it.
At number 4, I was a bit too high, and then.
So we saw Miller just went a bit low on 4, but you were a bit high on 4, were you?
Yeah.
Did you go out to the same track as she did
Yeah.
and come off the bend?
I was following the gully down, and then I went
Okay.
off too early.
Yeah, but apart from that, everything else seemed to flow pretty well. Hey,
Yeah.
Warren. Sorry, I just had to give a phone there to Warren. So, you were pretty smooth once you got 4 and you found 5 all right, just down the gully a bit to the left.
Yep.
No errors from there on?
Not really.
Yep. Were you lucky enough to wear a GPS unit today?
Yes.
And how was your feeling about wearing a GPS?
It was weird at first. I kind of got used to it, but
Yep.
yeah.
So you're looking forward to the idea of wearing them more in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to practice a bit like this, because whenever you get up to the senior grades and up into the world champs and all that, world champs nowadays, everybody wears one.
Yeah.
So it's always good to get a bit of practice, and we should thank Toph and Living It Live for providing those trackers, shouldn't we? So well done, Toph, and Living It Live. Thank you, Ingrid.
That was really good fun. Now we've also got good timing. We've got Tom.
We'll get Tom to talk through it. It's on the
Yeah,
tracking.
we're going to
So
bring Tom
can you
over.
please step here, please.
He
So
was.
we're watching Tom. It looks like he's leading this race. So Tom's just doing a shirt change here. But Tom, we'll do introductions after. We'll just do this little, if you can just talk us through the course here. It looks like you're leading, you're coming into 2. What are you going to do now for 3?
I went down to the track, I took a bearing, and then down the gully. Is it on?
Yeah, it's all right. I'll just see if Toph's going to throw it up for us again.
Yep.
The tracking for 3.
And then to number 4, I took a bearing over to the next track past the...
Yeah, here we are. We're back on the map. Okay, so if it's now back on the big screen and Tom's leading, you're getting number 2. Talk us now down through to 3, just ahead of a gully.
Down
Shouldn't
the
be too
track
hard.
And then through the rocks and then down to gully.
Yep, so that was a fairly easy one. 4, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, straight across.
Yeah.
I got a bit too high.
Got a little high, but that was fine. 5 was just around the corner now. What you doing for 6?
I went down the creek. I went down the creek almost the whole way, and then I cut across to...
You go all the way to the track at least, don't you? And then you just cut across. Yep. 6
then
is just around the
way
corner.
too low, 6. I came to the track and stuffed up a bit.
Oh, I see. Yes, a bit of a mistake out to the right.
Yeah.
Now
Then
an uphill leg.
Yeah, I took the gully up and the creek pretty much, and then I passed the rocks, and then... Yeah.
Yeah, so you got that all right. Did you make any mistakes out there, Tom?
Yes, I did mistake on number 7.
Okay, we saw that.
Seconds, and then number 11.
Okay, so we got 11. 11's coming up. You can tell us what you did, because this 10 looks pretty comfortable. You just come down here, aim boot to the right. Now tell us what's going on here, where you made the mistake.
I just went way too much
Oh,
left
yes.
and came to number 7.
Yes, okay.
Then I...
Knew where you were.
Yeah, then straight up.
Okay, so what you should have done out of 10 was you should have climbed straight away, hit the main track. Okay, and after that you were pretty comfortable?
Yeah, took it pretty easy and focused on the orienteering.
Yep, and across the 13 and then home. You didn't fall over like Miller in the finish chute, did you?
No.
Okay, now just tell us a little bit about yourself, Tom. A lot of people around here won't know you. Tom Wyhart. You don't actually live in Australia, do you?
No, I live in Sweden.
Yeah, and that's because your dad and your mum, your dad, who I've known for many years, his family, you and the family, you all live in Sweden, and you've been over here on at school, I heard.
Yeah, I went to school 1 term here.
So you did 1 term in South Australia?
Yep.
Yeah, and on your own, because Dad went home, didn't he? He flew you out?
Yeah, he went with me to Australia, and then he went back, and then now he's back again.
Yes, but you had to live in South Australia on your own without Dad or Mum.
Yeah, I lived at my nana's house.
Okay, and you enjoyed that?
Yep.
Was it good to get away from the parents?
Yeah, a bit.
Of course it is. Well, thank you, Tom, and it looks like you've done a very good job out there today, and all the best to when you go back to Sweden.
Thank you.
When you going back to Sweden?
Tuesday night.
Okay, all the best, and we'll keep an eye on how you're going. Thank you. Thank you, Tom Wyhart.
Well, that was fantastic. It's really good to see the young kids, and actually look at some very good orienteering being carried out in that particular age class. Those courses are not easy, so really good to get a chat and a perspective. We've got Matt Ogden live. We were really pleased to see this now. This is one of our ones that we're tracking, and we're quite quite high expectation about where he will be ending up at the end of today, or wouldn't you think so there, Warren?
Our genuine favourites. This man won the Jaywalk Middle in super technical terrain. He's a Southern Hemisphere superstar and a premium navigator. I love talking orienteering with Matt. He totally takes it to another level. So we should see him appear towards the last control any second now, I think, looking up for him. He's also our benchmark for the fastest time, so this is really going to be interesting, Carl. Here he comes now, just appearing at the last control. Matt Ogden, New Zealand, Jaywalk winner, leader in the race right now.
What's he going to do?
Here he comes.
What's he going to do on the map change? Is he going to pick it up? Which way
There's
is he
the
going to
map
go?
change going now. 32 minutes to the first map change. Taking his time, hydrating. It's about 1/3 of the way around the course, so right on schedule, I'd say. Looks like he's taking a gel, Carl.
It does, and a big drink. That's a wise idea when you're going to have a gel.
He's studying the map. Route choice taken.
He's decided.
Oh, look at that! Jumping the fence up the hill. Whoa. And heading way left.
And it's kind of good because what we can also see on camera, I think they just have, oh no, they are. We're seeing a couple of the elites start as well, so that's a pretty good thing. Because there is, between Matt and the first of a whole cohort at the back of the field, who are the high-ranked runners, there's about 35 minutes in between them. So in about another 35, we should start to see some of these of the other top men's elites come through and pick up that map.
I think it'll be a little while, Carl. Matt was not highly ranked. There's a whole contentious thing about the world ranking and how it suits people in Europe rather than outside of Europe. To get world ranking points, you have to race in races with other world ranking runners, of course, and if they don't have high points, then the value of the race is downgraded, and so it really does bias a European-based runner. Matt, in my opinion, I've seen a few runners. He's a top 20 runner worldwide any day of the week. Yet he's almost the first starter here today, so he's let these points slip. But it is very, very hard unless you're prepared to commit yourself and go overseas to run to get those world ranking points. And of course, the value of them is high. Maybe not so much today because there's not that much tracking. But an example was last weekend at the World Cup in Switzerland, where the difference between first starter and last starter on one course could be as much as 1 or 2 minutes. That's a significant difference.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Oh, what do we got here?
It's W45.
Oh, nice. We got the women's 65. Some more people
65s
that we are tracking. And look, we got Suki, I think.
Yes.
Rolling uphill. I think that's
Lynn
Dabs. So we got some replay happening here with them.
They were very anxious at the start, Carl. The tracker certainly stresses them. We're coming up to control 4. This is the big moment.
This is the big moment.
Straight ahead. Woohoo!
Sue's going straight.
Bravo. I don't know if that was one of the options that I was seriously considering. Looks like
now she's busting
Robin's
out.
had a bit of a trouble on 3. Lim's gone straight ahead as well. Okay. All the way over to
now Sue's definitely taking herself wide now to stay away from that intense rock area. Yes, it is.
So I think Lynn's battling the forest there. That is a monster hill, and you can see Robin, travelling considerably
Really
quicker.
fast.
This is long orienteering at its finest. Look at the speed of Robin compared to Lynn, and look at those rocks that she's got to come through. Lynn and Sue were at about the same time. Now Lynn is injured, so it's not fair, and she's probably thinking I'm going to take the shortest distance. But I think that gap's probably more than just an injury, Carl.
Yeah, I think so too. And I did notice that Robin moved very quickly because she seemed to make the choice to go down to the right, a little bit quicker than Sue.
There's where Lynn's coming down now. I don't know if any man's ever been there before, or woman. It's wild country up there.
But look at this though. She's
It's a beautiful
go.
little control spot, that one. It's absolutely magical. Little knoll and the grey there, amongst other details. It's just fantastic.
Well done, Lynn.
6
That
to
was
7
hard work.
offers a route choice as well. There's a massive hill in front of them, and I think by now they'll be leg tied. Be interested to see if Lynn takes it on again. No, she's thought wisely to go
she's staying around
around.
the rocks now.
She's moving quite well now, Lynn.
Yeah.
It's getting rough where Robin is. You sort of probably need to stay a little bit lower there and then make your way up around that water course. Looks like we've got a bit of a stalling going on. That or they've all stopped for a bit of a rest, Carl, maybe.
Maybe it seems like a fair thing to do.
They're actually this 7 to 8, 6. Okay, so we're actually
So we're
watching.
getting
This
Sue
is
live.
interesting. We're watching Sue Key live. So I assume she's coming up towards 8, Carl. Yeah, that would make
Yeah,
sense.
she's coming
so
up
she's
towards
gone
8.
underneath the big escarpment, which means that she's not that far above us. In fact, you can see where Robin is right now. If we look up, we might be able to see her up there on the hill. So, yes, she could be anywhere immediately above us. Can you hear us, Robin? Can you hear us? Wave your hand if you can. It is tricky up there, Carl. It's
Yes.
Norwegian orienteering. Carl's from a father Norwegian. Norwegian orienteering at its finest. Sue looks like she's slowed down a little bit too, Carl. I think
Yeah, she does.
Heat of the day, it's uphill.
Now we're cutting over to the men's 65.
Wow, this should
We're
be
getting a
interesting.
replay for these guys as well.
It's a high-quality field here, Carl.
Yep. This is a high quality field. What are they
Paul
doing?
Parquet and Will's dad, Richard, look like they've gone a little bit too far south, and they've
Yeah.
been
Tim and Nick
caught
have
there. They actually had to
nailed
drop
it.
out of the start, not just contour out. That is a awkward start for those two. Ted is gone well.
Ted started very well.
Tim Ashman's up there. Oof, that's difficult stuff. Ted's certainly picked the right way there. Well, Ted's on his way from 3 to 4. This is that very long leg. He's come back.
He is. He's come
towards
right
it.
back.
Yep.
That next control's a little bit off screen, but he's wanting to
straight
go
ahead.
right around it.
There is a beautiful little funnel out of 3, white funnel to the right of the control, heading northeast. That's super fast. Nick's gone into the no man's land. I think we should have. You've got to admire the bravado of some of these 65s. That straight is great. Paul Parquet is going straight. I think I like, no, Tim Ashman's climbing. That sort of surprises me. I think that's probably doing a bit of hard work there. It's actually a downhill leg from 3 to 4 if you go wide enough, where Paul Parquet is heading now.
Yeah, what's he going to do? He's going to...
That's the way that I sort of thought that they would go, and a little bit less likely they go out to the left, but...
Yeah, it looked like Ted was going to sort of aim over around near number 8. There is a track over there. There's a couple of gullies he could take to lead himself down into number 4, but time will tell.
Yeah, that's right. I think Nick Collins has stalled, or he's just looked at that hill saying, "Okay, I've had enough." I'm sure that he won't be buying me a beer at the pub tonight. Richard Gardner, the big import from the UK, is having trouble. He was very anxious. Been travelling with him all week, giving him a bit of stick about this. He's been picking on his son all year for the last few years about tracking and how can he not make the right choice. And now the roles are reversed, Carl.
We've turned it on him, and he certainly didn't have the best start to control number 1, but I'm sure he can pull things back.
Yeah, it's a
it's
long
interesting
course.
live, this, isn't it? We're seeing Tim and Ted making their way. What is Tim going to do? How far around is he going to go?
It's so easy for people to just look at the map and think that's the shortest way, but the map's 2D, and of course the forest is 3D. So the distance you actually travel up those steep climbs and the speed you go at, it's 2 or 3 times the kilometre rate that you can be if you just keep moving. So Ted's choice is quite good, and I think Tim's out to the right there. Anybody that's brave enough to take it on straight away is probably maybe regretting it, and but early days just yet.
And given that we're looking at the men's 65A, it's probably worth mentioning we do have a finish time for Roke Prendergast in that class. So we'll see how he holds up. It looks like it's 105. If I'm reading that correctly, 65.
That's quite a good time.
And 11 seconds.
Roke is a high quality orienteer, no question.
Roke is high quality, so let's see how that holds up. And we also, just another one I may as well just grab, I just saw Andy Hogg run by in men 45A, and he's finishing in first as well in that
Right
class
now on the
with no
screen,
control
Carl, we
mistakes.
have Ino Murinen.
Our
M85, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like Herman's finished. We missed him, but we'll retrack that later. Ino's got a special course with Herman. It is really, if they choose the right way, it is a downhill course. And Ino's heading out to the track. Nice work.
Very good.
I don't think this is live, Carl. Otherwise, Ino's on something that we need to get to.
We need to give it to the elites. We need to give it to anybody.
He's dropping a little bit low there. This could get a little tricky. The track should save him.
Here he goes. Now he's got a line of rock.
Oh,
He's
yes.
gonna
Nice
go up the
save,
track.
Ino.
Oh, over the clearing in the grey.
Yes, he smoked that one. I think Ino punches the air every time he finds the control.
Yep.
Into the gully. Yep. Straight on.
I had to give him a little bit of assistance to put on his tracking vest. He was convinced it was going to be too small, and he had a black T-shirt he was going to wear as well. I convinced him to not wear that. Oh, we'll see.
This was a slightly different control to the other ones. This is like one of those vague downhills where you have to be good on direction. And Ino, being Finnish, is used to reading lots of details on the map.
Sorted it out, I think.
He's going game. Take
good.
2.
That's good.
It's high. It's very good visibility in that area. There we go. Nice work, Ino. Down the gully. Look a little bit to the left. Drinks at this control. I expect him to stop for a second. No, straight through. Contouring over the little spur. The control pops out. You should be able to see it now.
Beautiful work.
Here's the little awkward part. Crossing the fences. Only the one fence crossing there. Well done.
Quick mention for our Orienteering Australia President, Blair Truan, just running into the finish. He's doing a great job on the car, parking very early this morning. Much appreciated there, Blair.
Weary around the finish area, Carl.
They do. So, if you haven't headed out yet, although I think most of them are on the way to the start, have a drink. If you have finished, have a drink.
If we keep our eyes up on the road there, the M10, M12 courses go past us. So, parents, if you haven't already seen them, I think most of them are finished, but they head along past the.
We have Ino on screen, Warren.
Wow.
There he is, making his way through.
How good is that?
Wowee.
Yeah,
Will we be doing that when we're in that age class, Warren?
Hopefully they got us live tracked and live mic'd, Carl.
Maybe the live mic wouldn't be so good.
I think you're allowed to say what you like when you get to Ino's age.
Yes.
Hopefully that's the case.
He was saying that to me this morning.
Yeah, he's coming through the paddock. I think he's heading for 145 is the code. It's a boulder. Yep, he's looking at the camera. Tricky that. I don't know. You're not allowed to ask the cameraman. Oh, maybe you are. He's maybe drawn to the other runners.
I think he feels
Is that a magnifier he's got there? A patented magnifier?
Maybe.
Look at that.
He's going down the grey.
That is just on the other side of these bushes at the last control, so he's making his way through. And there's some of that tracking that we can see. The grass, you can see the grass to the left of Ino there, just as that chap runs past right now.
There we have Valerie Barker. I think I'll give her a bit of a whoop up. Good stuff. That's a lady who does so much for the Australian Schools Orienteering Championship, just coming into the finish.
She does a great job, absolutely. Well, I think we're looking through the forest there for Ino to appear. That was a fairly difficult fence to get through, so let's not... Carsten Jurgensen in the finish chute. Have we spotted Ino yet? Here comes Ino. Oh, that's... We're talking, Sorry, thanks.
I can see Ino, I think, approaching the last control up there.
All right, if we all turn up to that last control, look at the last control. Ino punching. Going for the fastest
and we've got an interesting shot on screen too, just if I can interrupt for a second. We've got both Aston Key and Natasha Key ready to start. They've just started. That was a pretty cool thing. I don't know how we engineered that.
How did that happen?
We're just smarter than we think we are.
Yeah, obviously. I know. Well done, mate. Look at this. Tricky. I apologise in advance, but there is a stone he's coming up to right now. There's a perfectly placed stone. There. Yes. He's got one more difficult creek crossing to go. And then that gentle uphill. This last bit of the course is the uphill. Just going past the elite map change.
And just a little side one. We've got Torrin Arthur running into the finish. I can't see how he's going, but I'll soon have an idea on that. Here comes Ino into the finish now.
Well
everybody,
done,
men 85A.
Let's give him a round of
applause.
applause.
It's worth a round of applause, everybody.
Well done.
Well done. He's putting a bit of a spurt on. Fantastic. That's what we like to see.
Oh, absolutely. What a great sport orienteering is, huh?
You
How
bet.
good's that? Looks like he's got the Richmond coloured leg protectors.
He does. He does.
He's obviously a football expert as well.
Go Tigers, it would appear.
Well done, Ino. And thanks for wearing that tracker, mate. That was
We've
fantastic.
got a few people coming through the map exchange there. Warren, a boy from Queensland. Not sure who he is, but he's just... and we've also
Jenny
got
Enderby coming through.
David Branridge, and we've got Jenny Enderby. It'll be interesting to see how she's finished. So David's having a drink. And we've got Bruce Arthur coming into the finish. It'll be very interesting to see how Bruce ends up. I'm sure he'll be right up there.
David Brownbridge at the map change. Bruce finishing. Nice finish, Bruce. Always up there. Always doing really well, and extremely technical orienteer. Very, very fit. So kids love orienteering. He's the heart and soul of Victorian orienteering, no question.
And we've got, I noted Jennifer Enderby running through before. She's in first place in the women 50A. She's leading at this stage by 2:25. So let's see how... Rightio. What have we got? Men's 65A. We've got some more tracking back on them. Let's see if we can make sense of all of this. 5 to 6. So we can see Tim Ashman out there. Ted Van Geldermaas, Richard Gardner, Paul Paquet, Nick Collins are the ones that we've got on screen. Now let's see if I can make heads or tails of where people are. Righto, I've just been given some good information here just to sort of give a bit of a context for the men's 65A. At Easter this year, we had Paul Paquet win the M65, we had Adrian Uphill second, and we had Tim Ashman was in third. So, and just last week, Australian Long, we had Ted was the winner, Tim Ashman was second, Adrian Uphill was third, and David Marshall was fourth. So we made a few correct selections there in terms of who we wanted to talk. So I'm just going to put the microphone on, give it to Warren. He's going to hand it to another one of our new presenters that we're going to be bringing into here.
Well, first, before that, Carl, I think we're going to cut to Bruce. Bruce, if you mind sitting down in the chair just there. Hopefully we'll bring you up. There you go. Bruce, so you're hot and bothered. It was tough out there. You've had a good race. How was it?
It's a fantastic course out there. Really enjoyable orienteering. You don't get any better than that. I never quite felt like I was in control. I was trying to just keep map contact all the time. Map contact. And sometimes I found myself 100 metres left or right of where I wanted to be. But at least I stopped and picked up where I was, and then just turned back on track, and it was okay. I think there'd be many controls that I wasn't the fastest on, but I just kept any mistakes down to the minimum.
I think you've got quite a gap between you and the field at the moment. I think as much as 7 minutes, I think, on Carsten Jurgensen or thereabouts, at least 5. Who's the competitors you're most worried about?
Look, it's a pretty good field. I think Craig Duffy from Western Australia is another strong competitor.
Very good.
He was an early start. I know that John McComb was near him. I know Andy Hogg was near him. I haven't really checked out the times yet. I guess those guys must be a little bit back, but I'd expect they'll still be around the mark somewhere.
I hope so, Bruce, that you are deserving of a good result. But, sports like that, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You would have no doubt offered some advice to the kids beforehand. Most people haven't been here. I know you and I have. We've been around long enough. Is there anything that you think that they may have listened to?
Oh, look, there was plenty of instructions. I'm not sure how much was taken in. I think some of the kids were a little bit intimidated. We drew some sample courses on the maps last night. Drew some scary route choices because I knew that you would put some of those in there. I'm not sure. Hopefully that prepared them. Hopefully it didn't put them off too much. But I have seen a couple of them with some good races so far. So hopefully they've enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're looking after the Victorian team, which is a fantastic effort and great. We've got to thank all those people who get involved in supporting the junior teams, and you're one of them. How's it been this last week looking after more than the usual Arthur gaggle, but 10 times that many?
Yeah, my family's increased to 19 kids this week, so it's been a little bit of management. The most challenging part is getting them to turn out their lights at 9:30 at night. Maybe the junior girls are some of the worst offenders there, but overall the kids have been really great. They've had a really tough week. They've run 6 races in a row, and then a day off yesterday, another race today. So it'll be 8 races in 9 days. If nothing else, they're all going to come out much better orienteers than they were before the week.
Absolutely. What do you count them on the bus and count them off, or you just you sort of? How do you work out whether you got the right number?
There's too many to count, so we go the other way. We just say how many spare seats have we got in the bus, and hope that the kids that are sitting in the bus are the right ones.
I can vouch for the value of it. Like our own daughter Miller, it's the first time she's done it, and we've hardly seen her anything from her. But I recall well Brody Nankervis telling me that once he did the schools for the first time, he said, "This is a great sport. I love it," and that's a lot of thanks to all the people who organise it and all the people who run the show. So thanks, Bruce. That's fantastic, mate.
Yeah, look, it's a great week, and all the kids are having a great time. I don't think some of them are picking up medals, others they're just getting a really good experience, and I think the social aspect and the champions at the disco probably got the most out of it.
Wow. If nothing else, and it is really probably the most important part, it's a great sport for friendship and genuine friendship that lasts a lifetime. The man sitting next to me, Carl, I've known since I started, and his family, and like your family, we've been great mates all along. So well done today. Good luck with the results, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Warren. Great courses and perfect day for it. I hope everyone has a good time.
I hope they do too.
Beautiful work. Thank you very much, Mr. Arthur. I'll cut a bit of action on screen. We're just seeing Asher Steer having a bit of a hydrate as she's now picking up her map. She's looking and thinking, which way is she going to go? And a Queensland elite, don't know that chap's name. He's deciding to go right by the look of it. Asher's still making up her mind, I think. Yeah. Got a little bit of on-screen action. We've got Tristan Miller in M21E. Now, we saw him run through, I think, the map change a long time ago. So these boys are coming into the finish, I think, here. Let's see. That must be with a time like that. I think we've got Tristan coming into the finish. No, I'm wrong. They're doing the map change.
Is that Alistair, right?
Yes, you are. Just put it right on. I'm just going to just reflect just back briefly on M65A. As we said before, Rogue Prendergast is our leading time, and it seems he's holding up. So as we look at the radio controls, he was leading Tim there.
Roke is fresh off a trip to WOC this year, so he'd have some good experience in the low visibility, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm just going to introduce another presenter in with us, which is Kathy McComb, and it's really good to have her here. She's finished her course and she'll soon be joined by another Taswegian, I'm hoping, which will be Claire Hawthorne, so you don't have to keep on listening to my voice. So, but we'll keep an eye out for people coming through the radio control. We'll keep an eye out for people coming through to the finish. As you'd expect, we've got a very large amount of information, so we're just trying to pick them out as they come through. Ooh, Dante Afnan, Men 20E, got him on screen. 39.46. The thing is, I'm not sure at what point in the course he's at, but I think he's coming up to the map myself. Yes, he is.
Yeah, that looks like the map changes.
So let's see which way he decides he needs to go. Bit of a quick drink for Dante. They're giving him another one. He spilt the first one.
So what sort of a leg have they got coming up?
Well, I think it's a long one, Kathy. I think they're all facing a long leg here. And it's a left or a right. And Dante's going left. It's a bit daunting because they've just run down that hill.
Yeah.
Now we're going live now. This is good. And now, unfortunately, we didn't have a tracker on Roke, but we know Roke was leading. So we're doing a bit of a replay here. And we know that Tim Ashman is actually finished. So Roke's time, if we had him on the screen there, he'd be somewhere, I think, in between Ted and Tim, with Adrian coming in from the side there. This was that leg, you might recall, we were showing it a little while back. And Ted went way to the left, Robin went to the right, Tim went straight up the middle, Paul also went to the right, Nick and Richard have gone to the left.
So Ted won last weekend, of course, so he'd obviously have a bit of confidence going into this race.
Too right. He'd be extremely happy. And so can he do it again here here this afternoon? Cap off another good week and another good year for him. Okay, I've got a little request for David Jaffe. David, if you're around somewhere, if you can come down to the presentation tent, to the Living It Live van, that'd be really great. So I think we've still got him live here, Kathy. I think that's what's going on. Oh, that can't be right though, because we've got Tim back. So so that can't be right. I'm making that up.
So the results might prove me different, but I've got a bit of a dark horse pick for the M65. I mean, this will immediately prove me wrong if the times don't reflect it. But I thought David Marshall might actually have a good chance today.
Yes,
his
for
sort
sure.
of country, this rocky, tough, physical terrain.
Another Tasmanian, as tough as they come. And I do note that Bruce Bowen has finished in M65 hay, and he's taken the lead. But interestingly enough, just reflecting on what you just said, he's only 109 before David Marshall. So I think you're right on it there.
Does that mean that David is sitting in second at the moment?
I think so.
Yeah, right.
And if we're wrong, who would know?
So we have a Swiss finisher coming into the finish chute here, Janetta, who I know is recently run the Swiss 6-day and has come out to Australia for a week or two. Oh, and here comes my brother, Paul Liggins. I'm not sure what's going on there.
He's got the shirt off. He's looking hot. Hot in every way, you could say. Whatever you fancy. One of the Goonan boys running through. He's changed map. He's not stopping for water. He's just getting on with it. Queensland boy as well. Just going up the hill there. Richard's going right. And we had finishing second in M65A from over the ditch, Pat Bodger from Peninsula and Plains. 138 behind Roke. And it looks like in M14A, just reflecting back on that for a second, it looks like Tom is still holding on to his lead. We've got Oliver Freeman from New South Wales in second place and Bodie Terrell from South Australia in third.
Oliver Freeman won Easter this year, so he's got a good track record.
He certainly has. It's always a hard thing. We're having Dante running into the finish. I don't think he's meant to be doing that. Looks like he might be pulling out of the event for today.
She's up in the, well, she's probably just trying to recover, but she's up in the spectator tents there.
We've got Will Tidswell, one of the Man 21E boys from New Zealand, just coming into the map exchange. He's having a quick drink. Will's ready to get moving. He's not going to waste any time. And we had Jenny Casanova just in front of him, if I'm correct. What's Will going to do? His legs are telling him to go left. So is his body. So is his mind. There he goes.
Looks like we've got Brett Whitehart coming into the finish chute here.
We do have Brett Whitehart. He'll be pleased to know his son is leading men 14A.
Brett Whitehart was on the very, very first JWOC team, 1990.
Uh-huh.
Travelled to Sweden.
And decided to stay there.
Yeah, exactly. We never saw him again.
Very nice. Yeah, it's good to see Brett managing to maintain the connection back to here and have the kids spend a bit of time here at school. What have we got on screen? We're replaying. Oh, righty-o. This is a bit of action. We're replaying Women 21E. They've started. Let's see where we end up.
Try the registration. Okay, what's Tim Hadley. We need to find the controller.
Yes.
Because Katie had a thing not beat. We should put them up.
Okay, so
the little guys.
the chief organiser out on the course, the senior organiser out on the course. You'll say Ari. I'm the chief, but I'm all that stuff I just handle over.
So you're saying this is a replay?
This is and then at some point
it's replay is synced as a mass start.
Yes, what we're likely to see at some point is the only one
okay, so we can bring them that back.
Going slowly.
Bring it, come to me over here.
She was last.
What number was the control? Do you know what code? There's been one that's not working.
So there you go. It's just got the word from the technical team, so I can understand what's happening on the screen here. We've got Lizzie going wide. They are all in replay mode at this point in time. But
Wow,
that'll
look at Vanessa
will soon
head off
change.
to the
Yeah, Vanessa's gone left. Lizzie's gone to the
south.
right. A lot of them are going straight through the middle. Lizzie's not having that hill at all. So we're now, Lizzie is live. The rest are in replay. So that's Lizzie moving along.
So if she can jump over that spur there, it looks like she's chosen the
yep,
best route.
Yep. Wouldn't even hurt to run by control number 17. Thought I might just toss one in. John LeCarpenter is leading M75A, and we also have Angus Haynes at the Map Exchange in Men 20E. What's Angus going to do? He's moving. He's going left by the look of it. Lizzie's just making her way around. When does she start coming back around towards the control? She's nearly on the same contour height. Oh, not quite, but nearly. So when's she going to do it, I think? Yeah. Yep. They have. We just got Bruce here, and he was just observing some of the mistakes that have been made by a couple of the hot favourites in Women 21E. Now we've cut across to live M65, and they are getting close to the finish. We know Tim's actually finished. And we know Ted, let me get my screen for Ted up.
It's a tricky last few controls they've got there when they're probably feeling pretty tired. Don't want to lose time at this late stage of the race now. They've done the hard yards.
Certainly not. So they're all live. if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah, to the right for sure.
The girls is this their leg? No, it's not their leg.
No.
The girls go for this one. Yeah. And so she go there. And where Lizzie was, she got to go even north of 17. Don't even cut through 17, go even further north. Because this control, once you come through north of here, that's still below you. So you might as well keep going north and just keep on going downhill. It's a downhill leg. There is no uphill the way Lizzie's running.
So we could actually see a sprint finish with Paul Paquet.
We
and
could.
Ted
We could.
At the rate they're going. I
We
wouldn't be
could.
surprised if they see each other soon, although Paul is going to need to correct his route.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There we go. So
Ted
we're going
might just get a bit of a glimpse of him, might inspire him. Oh, now we've got some vision of Paul.
Oh, superb. There we go. Running across the open ground, coming to the second last control, I think. I'm just checking
Looks like
something
he's moving
here.
pretty well.
Yeah, it
Hit that
certainly
track.
does. So men 65A. Paul was a 10:56 start, and Ted was an 11:14.
Ooh. So he may have lost a little bit of
So
time out there.
yeah, we've got a radio control on the last control. Not sure where their other radio controls were for men's 65, but it's going to unpack very soon because Paul Paquet is coming into the finish. He's punched the last control. He's coming into the finish in 71:58, and I can't see Roke's time. I think Roke was 65. I think I recall. So I'm thinking Paul might be running into third. And I can see Ted van Geldermalsen is coming as well. Now, I'm thinking Ted's going to be taking the lead here. We've got Paul Paquet 7 minutes down. Tim was in third. And we've got Ted van Geldermalsen. I'm thinking Ted's going to be running into the lead.
Yeah, that looks like a really strong run there.
Let's see. We've got Paul came into fourth. Now we've got Ted takes the lead with 54 minutes. That's a cracker time for him. So Ted's continuing his good performance of the week, isn't he?
Yeah, he sure is. He's had a few good wins already.
Got a Queensland boy over there I see going through. And Aluya Sprott, I think, coming in to do her map change as well. And I've got Claire Hawthorne next to me. She's looking pretty sweaty. She's swallowing a can of lemonade and something tasty homemade, I think. Who have we got there with that headband on? One of the Canberra boys. Oh, that's the Day boy, isn't it?
Oh, Jared Day.
Jared Day. Jared Day having a big drink and a big look at the map. Very big look at the map. I don't blame them. It's it's a bit of a hard starter when they go to here because it's a monster leg is coming up for them now.
Definitely worth taking time to assess your options at that point there.
Yep, and I can confirm, yes, Ted is in the lead. He's leading with 10.5 minutes, so Ted's going to be pretty hard to beat, I think. We saw some mistakes from some of our other potentials early on in the course, right at the start, in fact, the first few controls, so I reckon Ted's looking pretty good. We've got Aston Key on screen. 30.06 coming into the map change. Soon. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We've got the live camera on Aston. He'll appear, I think, and I think that's Gene Beveridge up there. It is. Coming down in front there. Let me just flick to my list here. Interesting to see how these are in relation to each other. Did he? So Gene's having a quick drink and a quick look. So Gene started 3 minutes before Aston. And Robert Bennett was 11:31. Jean was 11:37. Aston was 11:40. And I think I saw Robert was running behind Aston. Yes, that's correct. So Aston's caught a little bit of time on Jean, nearly 3 minutes, and he's overtaken Robert Bennett. Who have we got there that they're following? It's one of the
that's
ACT
Grace,
girls. That's
Tasmanian.
Grace. Now, Grace, I think, was the first starter in the women's elite. We might just bring them up on our info.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Grace has had some good runs lately, so I would expect a good, solid time from her today.
Yep, she's just punching that control before the map exchange. As a Tasmanian, I'm sure she'll do well in this tough terrain today. No, Grace is running into the finish. So there you go. So it's our first time.
Yeah.
Go, Grace. Well done. This is our first finisher in the women's elite. As you can see, our fingers are right on the pulse.
Yeah, it looks like she was first through the radio control, so she's held her position. No big mistakes, maybe.
Yeah, 1:41. So there you go. That's our first elite's time, and I reckon that's going to hold up for some time. That's not going to be easy to go there. We've got Lanita Steer and Crystal, I think. No, that's Aislinn. I just needed to get my head around the movement. Now, Claire, I'm going to introduce you now. This is Claire Hawthorne, another Tasmanian lady. She's going to sit down here and do her best with the commentary for a little while.
Thanks, Carl. Is that Lanita Steer and Aislinn? Aislinn Prendergast coming through just behind Lanita Steer. I'm not sure, Kathy, do you know who started, who caught who in that? Got a start list? She ran for walk.
I'm backtracking the easy course because.
So they're just coming through the map exchange now. Aislinn represented Australia at WOC this year, one of our top runners.
That's where I'm going. If anyone's looking for me, not that they will be. They don't seem to have phone reception.
So Aislinn's caught Lanita at 8 minutes. And they look like they're going different ways, are they? No, Lanita's just taking a bit of her time.
So here we have coming into the finish, one of our M65s. That's Richard Gardner. I think he's had a tough day out there, but he's looking in good shape as he comes into the finish. I'll see how Richard ends up. We did observe he had a bit of a problem on the first control, I think. Richard's finished in 5th, behind Pat Bodger, who I think is in 4th. So Ted Van Geldermalsen is still holding up with his time of, I think it was 54, as I recall.
So we've got Matt Doyle and Martin Dent coming through to the map exchange. So Matt has caught Martin. They're both looking 8 minutes, so they're both looking pretty good still, having a big drink there and taking their time to make sure they've picked the correct route out of that map exchange. Special.
Very interesting, difficult choice to be made now by Matt and Marty. Will they break up? They're obviously looking right. Matt being the one chasing down Martin, but time is ticking. It's a big decision being made. Look at them, think about which way they're going. They've just come off that big escarpment, so it's hard to go back up. Clearly they're running left now. I think they both decided at the same time. But there's something in the surety of numbers, isn't there? When the guy you're running with or the person you're running with goes that way, it certainly feels better. And off they go. Be interesting. We will later on have tracking on these guys and times for this leg. So later on in the day we'll show you how long and how far this control is.
So only a third of the way around the course so far for the M21Es at this point, so they've still got a long way to go.
So you're seeing on the screen right now the first of the major options. Brodie's extreme right, Aston key right, Peter Hodgkinson, Aston's way right. I like that, but it is interesting. Peter Hodgson's taking the hill on. Gene Beveridge taking the hill on. Matty Crane, Matt Ogden, and Matt Doyle over the top. Wow.
So the wide route seems to be the faster route at this point, Warren.
Wow. Yeah, good question, Claire. Look, it's so hard to be sure. Well, I've got times on all the legs, but it's a race of attrition. The hot weather today is going to make a huge difference, and this is where the old strong legs. I like Matt Ogden in this race. I don't know what his results standing up to be like, but he's strong and mature and extremely good navigator. Brodie Nankervis, another one in there. Gene Beveridge, another one in there. This next leg, 4 to 5. Okay, we're now looking as they come down the hill. We're seeing Matt Crane, is it? Matt Crane and Brodie Nankervis. So they're soon to enter the arena.
And a pretty good time, I think. I remember seeing Aston about
30 minutes so far. Is that all?
So here we see the two of them again. They're soon to cross the road, I think, and then over the fence. Surely they're not going to jump. No, they're already over the fence. Okay, that's a special last control on the first loop for the men's elite. Then through the thicket, Brodie's going right around the thicket. We'll see them pop around to this last control for everybody. You can see them skirting around that old gum tree. Yeah, here he comes right now. So Brodie Nankervis, we think he's on a good run. 30 minutes puts him in front of Matt Ogden at the same stage. So terrific start from Brodie Nankervis. Matt Crane right behind him.
In pretty good form at the moment, Brodie. Had some really good runs lately.
Well, he's another Tasmanian that's produced some great performances. JWOC coach the last 2 years. Works as a physiotherapist. Extremely well prepared. Okay, now looking at his map. Matt Crane as well. Drinking.
Looks like Brodie's just going for the water, Warren. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess it's better than beer, but...
Says who?
All right. Quite a study. I think Matt... comes Crystal Newman as well, coming into the finish arena for the map change. Here comes Crystal just punching that second last before the map change.
She's on her own.
Looking up onto the road for those people in the arena, we can see that those two boys have turned right. We are getting great variety.
So if we've got Crystal, that means she's, and we haven't got Vanessa, we haven't got Lizzie, so she's run through.
We should see Crystal Newman any second appear at the first map change. Here comes Crystal now. She went the left, which is our right. Punching now, Crystal Newman, and running towards the map change. She's just taken a gel. It's a rather good idea, but you should always have water with gels. Let's see what she does now. Crossing the creek on that stone, place for Ino and Herman. coming up to the map change. So hive of activity there. Okay, drinking. Hasn't yet looked at the map. Good to have a drink. Okay.
It looks like Crystal Newman's run through Natasha Key and past Natasha Key out in the forest. We haven't seen Natasha. Oh, actually, is that Natasha?
Yes, it is.
That's Natasha just coming through now. So if Natasha puts the skates on, she could catch back up to Crystal and they could be running that long leg together.
All right, watching Crystal at the road. Going right. Different leg to the men's. The early days. Tough choice.
She's still looking.
Still looking.
And she's changed her mind.
Tash has almost got sight of her, I think. She looked like she was going to go right, but is going left. And here comes Lizzie Ingham now. Whoa, she's moving.
So we've had Aislinn Prendergast through a while ago, so it looks like Aislinn's on a pretty good run. We're looking for Vanessa Round and Lizzie Ingham.
Here comes Lizzie, yep.
Okay,
She'll
so
soon come
Lizzie-
past the tree. And just glimpsed in the arena, Tash going the same way as Crystal, so there might well be a bit of a duel going on out in the forest.
And Lizzie Ingham coming through the spectator control now.
She was 6 minutes after Crystal at the start.
So Lizzie's actually caught quite a lot of time on both Tash and Crystal. Nearly, 8 minutes on Crystal? Yeah. And 5 minutes on Natasha. So she's having a fantastic run.
Lizzie was our last start. She's gone through Vanessa.
So she's the last starter in the women's course. So she's come through Vanessa Round and so far the fastest time.
We have her on the screen, drinking. Seems like a good move, studying the map. They have a train of juniors up on the hillside there. And that's Simon coming down, Simon uphill for the first map change. It looks like Lizzie is going right out of the arena, heading back up the hill. Simon's on screen, so we're following him across to the second last control on the first map. Looks like he's spiking that. It's just a little bit of rocky ground.
He had start time only 3 minutes after Brody, so he has lost time.
He's a little bit off Brody's time, but it is a very, very long race, and we're only at the 1/3 mark. This is truly a long distance race. We should see Simon appear at that last control any second now.
And our next two are quite possibly Peter Hodgson and Will Gardner.
So we're looking for two Brits next, Peter Hodgkinson and Will Gardner. We might see coming through the spectator control. I see some 20 elites coming up to that control there as well. Kayla Cooper.
Here comes Simon now to do his map exchange, and I thought I might just cut over to men 55A. I can see Greg Barber is coming into the finish, and I see Jeremy Day is in second place. Where are we going to see Greg, Orienteering New South Wales president, is coming into the finish of today's men 55. It's going to come up in a second, and I'll have an idea about how he's gone. I feel I need to look after one of my peers. It's Greg Barber. He's run into the lead in men 55A in 63 minutes. He's leading with 8 minutes. Oh boy, that's a good lead.
And in the W20E, Michaela Cooper's just come in second at the moment with a time of 1:09. She's 6 minutes behind. So there's Bridget on screen there. She started before Aislinn, Natasha and Crystal, so she's taken a little bit longer to get through the first part. And here's Vanessa up there on the hillside. Vanessa's doing pretty well, and I'd just like to say she had a fantastic World Cup race last year in Switzerland, I believe, so we know she's really got the stuff.
She's been living in Europe for a while now, hasn't she, Kathy?
Yeah, although I think she has been back maybe, but yeah, she's certainly got a good body of experience.
She's taking her time, making the decision which way we should go. And Bridget Anderson now coming through to the map exchange as well. She's just behind Vanessa.
Peter Hodgkinson's coming into the map changeover. He was the second last starter, so we're nearly through all the elite men. So he's coming in a pretty competitive time. There's not much between these elite guys.
And Vanessa Rounds changed her mind, so she started going off to the right and now is coming back to the left, which is the same way that most of the girls have actually ended up going.
So looks like Peter's having a big drink, looking at the map. Still got that decision to make. It looks like he might be going left. Certainly not the first one to do that. So we've got some tired finishers coming across the line. It was certainly a tough course out there, Claire, wasn't it?
Yes, pretty tough. Tougher than I was expecting and longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, so anyone who finishes should be pretty pleased with themselves. Warren hasn't, made it a picnic.
He's not let us off easy, and it was pretty hot out there too. Some very, very long and tough route choices to make.
Okay, so it looks like we've got some live tracking here. Lot of different route choices there. Most of the people are going to the north. Matt Ogden going pretty much straight over and down that really steep hill.
It's a lot of route choice, isn't there? Like quite different route choices.
Yeah, I noticed that even on my course was a more route choice than I've had in a long time. So these guys have, got some big decisions to make the whole way around the course.
Some of my route choices changed mid-route accidentally.
Who's that?
So we're seeing quite a lot of variation in routes, and it's quite tight here at the map change. I expected the results to be relatively close here and then later on separating up. So we have a gap while we wait for them to get to the end of the long leg, and it won't be too long before we show the women's and the men's long legs on the big screen. So soon we'll be seeing what they had to deal with, because we've just about had everybody through this map changing point.
So was that a priority, Warren, when you were setting the courses to get some really long route choice legs in?
Well, we can see again here, here we're seeing the second map. So you can see Matt Ogden way out there at control 17. And the map changeover, this is showing both maps. The map changeover is number 1131 on the far left-hand side of the screen. So right now you'll see Beveridge and Key going out to left. I didn't see Aston come through, so I should have paid more attention. Jean Beveridge's going all the way out to a road. Well, the GPS tracking's obviously wrong there, unless he stopped the creek. And Aston's cutting it a little bit shorter. So, and we're seeing, I think, Matt Crane and Brodie Nankervis heading out to the right. So Jean Beveridge is taking the most extreme left option, which I knew was in the equation, but I wasn't thinking that the men would take it. The pre-runners certainly didn't take it. Aston's caught on this monster hill up there. And I suspect that the fastest way is off to the right where Brodie has gone and Matt Crane. So, does it look like Will Gardner's gone up over the first hill? Is he taking that on fairly straight? He's the green one. That would be extraordinary if he is. It's a brave decision. Let's look at those ones out the far left. Jean Beveridge, a very, very good runner. Obviously, Marty Dent and Matt Doyle out there. Marty looks like he's broken away from Matt on that big climb. There is a huge climb up from there. So really, really interesting option there. They will be within sight of each other. Matt would be able to see Marty for sure.
Yeah, I reckon they'd be running pretty hard out there on that road. And one thing you got to think of when you're on the road, you do get a chance to look ahead at your course, which you just don't get when you're navigating, like Aston is clearly navigating through that tricky terrain coming down to 12.
Soon we'll be able to bring up at some stage the choice that what Thierry Giorgio would have run. I know that he didn't run extreme left, so that eliminates that. But it looks like Peter Hodgkinson's going out there as well. The runners, Gene, Marty, Pete Hodgkinson, all extremely good runners, have gone certainly way left out to that road. I'm pleased. It looks like at the furthest distance, that's more than half the length of the control, and the control's 3 or 4K, so they're almost 2 kilometres wide of the straight line. You don't see that often, and I, as the course editor, I'm pleased as punch.
And you wonder what effect that's going to have in the rest of the race as well, if they've done 2K further than the guys going a bit straighter on the line.
Up there where Aston Key is right now, that is very rough going and hard yards, a very difficult entry into the control. So he is worth watching because he has to find an awkward one. He's going to come diagonally downhill into the control. There's rocks everywhere there, so he'll be on his best. I think we'll see Gene Beveridge close that gap as we get a little bit closer, because Aston's still got a lot of work, whereas Gene's just going to be powering ahead. It'll be interesting to see how they recover on their legs.
Yeah, and I reckon they're going to probably see each other coming into 12 if we stay on track, because Beveridge has got that much cleaner route to get into it. Not only that, he might have had a bit of a look at number 13 as he goes past it, and that might give him a bit of a jump start on the next leg.
Yeah, absolutely. All those things help. I think we can see, if we look at Matthew Crane and Brodie Nankervis in the far south of the map, if we compare that to the far north of the map, that the distance between their route right now and the extreme north end of the map is longer than the length of the leg.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. They've got a lot of green to tackle, those guys down the south there. It's not quite the nice, easy route to come up into the control. They've still got to do a fair bit of navigation, a fair bit of getting through that tight forest.
Yeah, it's going to be hard from there. This is they are taking a good way, I think. There is a little gap in white that takes you through, but a very difficult entry into the flag, and some challenging navigation as they now fatigue, because I assume they push themselves on that hill, particularly the two of them there. They will be within eyesight of each other, but how? Here we go. We're seeing Key and Beveridge coming, and here's my point about Aston. He's about to possibly make a mistake. Gene Beveridge is nailing the control or coming towards the control. Oh, my mistake. I'm going for 13, not 12. Take that back. He's looking okay.
So we're now replaying the route choice for the girls for number 3 to 4. We can see Lizzie Ingham. She just seems to be running much faster than the other girls in the forest. She's taken a fairly wide route choice.
Look at Vanessa Round down there in the south there. She's really...
Yeah, she's taken the southern route choice. And actually Natasha Key's taken a very, very wide route choice, which Tash often does, being a really strong runner. She'll often take a wide, safer route choice. And let's see if she gets it cleanly. No, she's come in a little bit low and had to come back up. But she has got it cleanly in the end. But perhaps went a little bit lower than she would have intended. Bridget Anderson also taking the southern route, but getting it fairly. They're all getting it fairly cleanly in the end. A little bit of a hesitation. And again on the long leg, 11 to 12, it's interesting to see the different route choices. Lizzie Ingham's taken the southern route choice. Natasha Key
going back out to
almost
the north
going,
again, yeah.
retracing her steps back there.
She could have left a trail of ribbons. Yes. So that's... Will Gardner on screen there. Looks like he may have lost a little bit of time in the first part of the course, but as we've been saying, there's an awful lot of course to go, so anything can happen. Oh, that didn't look too good.
Oh, jumped up again, fresh as a daisy. We should see Will Gardner any moment coming through the control now. Oh, there he is punching.
So here we have Will Gardner running into the map exchange shortly. I think Will's lost a bit of time out there, but this is the beginning section of the course. There's a lot more to see, as you could see before up on the screen. So he's got time to claw himself back, perhaps some positions. In fact, here he's coming in now. And just a little segue, we've got Jensen Key, by the look of it, running into the finish. Let's see how Jensen ends up. He was lucky enough to be picked on the honour team, I noted the other day, so we should have a result for Jensen in a few seconds to see how he goes.
Will Gardner not really hesitating at all, going straight out to the left route, having a very quick drink and taking off straight away, making a very quick route choice decision there.
And just back to Jensen Key, I can see he's taken the lead in men 18A, a lead of 112. Not too sure where he sits on the start list, so I don't know how he's going in relation to some of the other girls and boys, I should say.
Is this Simon Uphill? This looks like Adrian Uphill coming into the finish now in M65, one of our features classes. He was third last weekend in the Australian Long, and I think he was second last year, so he's always on the podium, Adrian. It's like we've got Zoe Milhuish, followed by Ella Cuthbert and then Arabella Phillips in the W20Es. They'll be coming into the finish now. So it'll be interesting to see these times here. So Zoe running in ahead there. Let's wait and see her time come up.
Looks like quite a lot of the W20s finishing now. I think I can count 5 of them.
So Zoe's coming second at 1:08, 5 minutes behind.
And one of the New Zealand representatives coming through as well.
So who's first? So is there not just like a result thing you can't see?
Well, Arabella's 10th, Joanna George, Ella Cuthbert 6th, and second, and do you want me to go look?
back on the tracking for the women. This is live for Lizzie Ingham. Sync for everyone else, I think.
Tasha Key has gone very far to the north, and she's obviously feeling a bit tired because she's avoiding hills as much as possible. Oh, and I think we've got our M65. Nope, we're back to the women's 21. Back to the women's 21. So Lizzie Ingham, this is live tracking for her, and she is just punching. Oh no, she's still looking for 12. She hasn't quite found it yet. And she's just slowly coming into the control circle. She's making maybe a tiny bit of an error on number 12, a rare error for Lizzie Ingham, maybe just a bit slow. She's very close to the circle, but not quite on top of the control yet.
You don't think?
Or maybe she's going to 13. Don't know. No, she's standing still.
Yeah, is Lizzie making a mistake here, Claire, or do you think she's actually got it and the GPS is slightly off?
Not sure, Kathy. If she gets 13 and goes back to 12, we'll know that she's made an error because she seemed to hesitate.
No, she does seem to be moving through. I'd say she got 12 there, and she's probably taking a bit of a look at that 13 to 14 route there, which looks like another toughie.
It's a very wide route choice that Natasha Key's taken. A fair bit of extra distance covered. Perhaps that wasn't deliberate, Kathy. I think she's dropped a little bit further down the hill. Yeah, I think Lizzie's tracking is just slightly off, but yeah, she's got 12 and 13.
Lanita Steers taking the more direct route to the south there, one of the very few of those women doing that. She's going to have to take on that hill straight ahead of her, down and then up again.
I don't think that route choice looks too bad. You've got the hill, but then you've sort of can come a little back through from the north, I think, and you've got a nice approach to the control. But perhaps Natasha Key was aiming for that drinks there. Needed a drink. I know the feeling.
It's interesting. I remember some testing they did way back in a Czech Republic walk where they had the women testing route choices, and for the women it's often worthwhile running wider because they don't quite have the strength to get up over the hills, and for the men's it's better off to generally run a bit straighter, but the women, without that strength they can often afford to go a bit wider of the red line.
I think Lizzie Ingham has made a little bit of a blue on 13. She's come back to it, so she's sort of missed it and then come back, and now she's going to head off to 14.
It looks like Crystal Newman's caught up a bit of time. Consequently, she's coming. This is a repeat for her, but looks like she's heading straight for 12.
13 to 14. That looks like a good leg. I wonder if there's much of a route choice there. I think it's sort of more of a sort of straight leg for that one.
Okay, well, 13 to 14, Claire, is a doozy. It's about orienteering on this one, not necessarily deciding the route, although west of the line is probably the softer running option. It's nicer down there on the flat, coming back up towards 14 with that creek about immediately west of the flag. So where Lizzie is going right now, strikes of risking going into that rough terrain a little bit higher than the flag, which could cost her time. So it'll be interesting to see where the other girls go by comparison. There could be a space here to catch up a little bit of time on Lizzie.
Yeah, the soft running option looks pretty good to me at this point. Another good leg that we're looking forward to seeing for the women is 17 to 18. You can see it up on the screen now. We haven't got anyone at that point yet, but it looks pretty rugged at the beginning of that leg. So which way the girls will go, there's a sort of a bit of a track leg to the east, and perhaps less climb if they go to the north and the west.
I see. I'm catching up now. So we've got Lizzie live coming out at 13 to 14 and a replay for all the rest. That's an interesting picture there, isn't it? She's got a fair lead on him at that point.
Yeah, and she is going straight. She's almost redlining it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we've got some people out in the
Got a bit
forest
of live
looking a
pictures.
little bit lost.
Some people, one of the Miller boys, isn't it? Yeah.
M20E is looking a bit lost there. They're definitely not seeing the control. They're not wanting to lose contact with each other, yet at the same time not wanting to follow someone the wrong way.
It is a tricky spot. There's many, many rocks on that hillside, so this is where the shape of the land would be highly valuable. So I think they're progressing there. There's the safety of below them, but the nervousness of being near us, the crowd, I guess. You can feel the time ticking away.
Yeah, and that can be a bit of pressure when you can feel like there are people watching you and you really don't know where you are. That can be quite stressful.
Just reflecting back on a result from before, men 55A, I think I've just seen Tony Wolford come in to take the lead in that. He's come ahead of Greg Bauer, so good result there.
The camera's on him and he can see that, and he's still not found the control. He's found it.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh, the control's fallen down. The control's fallen over, and that's perhaps why they're not spotting it. There's a few of them now leaving that control together.
You need space? You're happy just to keep going?
It's good if we can swap between you
Good course, Warren.
Okay, so now we're replaying the long leg from the men's course in real time compared to each other. And you can see Aston Key's got a bit of a gap early, it seems map-wise, and Peter Hodgkinson's moving very, very fast out there to the left. That is extremely wide. I hadn't banked on that one. I knew it was there, but I thought only the odd. Matt Ogden, being typical of all elite males in particular, going straight at it, as is Will Gardner, that more direct one. And then far left, far south is Matthew Crane and Brodie Nankervis. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, maybe the right option is the faster one as we wait to see what happens. It's a big climb up from the north there for Hodgkinson and Gene Beveridge, and it's quite tricky as Brodie Nankervis and Matthew Crane come down. Okay.
I thought I'd just quickly interrupt for a second and a bit of the action. We had Patrick Miller just coming into the finish from Men 20E. He's in first place, so that's a good result for Patrick and the ACT.
Can you not in comparative time?
That's synced from the start. I need to work out how to do a mass start from
Can you do a mass start on that leg?
I'll have to try and work on
Sorry, it might have been my mistake. What we're seeing on the screen is not actually a mass start point from the map changeover, but actually as they are in the race. So we're seeing variety, but the actual timing we're working out now how to show that on the screen so we can see the clarity of their decision making. But what we do know is that there's some pretty broad route choices out there, Claire.
Oh, very impressive. I'm so impressed about the not only there's usually a wide route choice, but there's at least two really wide route choices, one to the south and one to the north, plus a lot of variation in the direct route choices. And it's interesting to see Aston Key, who's a younger orienteer, taking a very direct route on that leg, and which requires a great deal of strength. So it'll be interesting to see how much that taxes him for the rest of the course. Not only when you go a wide route choice, you are running further, of course, but you are saving your legs to a certain extent because you're not going through that really thick and steep terrain.
So we're seeing certainly, Claire, some tired bodies coming into the finish. It's a hard day.
It's good to see people still running up the finish chute. We weren't seeing that during the week. We were seeing a lot of people walking up the finish chute.
Well, it is a downhill finish.
It's a downhill finish chute with a little bit of a creek jump there. I think it was the least of my worries.
What a great picture that is. Look at the crowd here. It's been fantastic. What a fantastic audience everyone's been, and hopefully they've enjoyed the courses. It is tough. I apologised beforehand. I think I said unforgiving is the word, and I wasn't. It was meant to be a challenge. It is meant to be long. I hope I haven't overdone it, but more importantly, I hope you've all enjoyed it.
Fantastic job, Warren, and a beautiful arena. That's absolutely a joy. It's sort of very European, as you said in the notes. This finish is very European. The 2K walk at the start was very European, but that gave us the advantage of coming back into the arena.
Yeah, it was a long walk to
slightly elevated start.
Hopefully people picked up some of those questions answered. We've got, I think, Alistair George appearing in the finish right now, or about to come around the bend. He's looking tired. We should see him on screen any moment now. What we see on screen is Bob Vincent, maybe won 2 or 3 Australian champs. There's Alistair right now, going past the commentary, looking a little tired.
Bob Vincent might have run on the original map, Warren.
Probably. That was back to 1984. Alistair's had a big season overseas, 6 months, I think, away, or 4 or 5 months at least. A lot of orienteering, a very, very high-quality orienteer, and one to look forward to in the future. He's coming along beautifully. Looks like he's had a tough day.
Just a little thing to the side. Women's 20E, I think, if I'm correct, we've got Katie Corey Wright is still leading that class. She's got Zoe Melhuish in second place and Michaela Cooper in third. We do still have a few more to come through, but I'm getting a feeling that between Tegan Knightbridge, Tara Melhuish and Carolyn Pigere, that time might be running low to get in ahead of Katie. So Katie, you might remember, was one of our Vox Pop people answering some of those fun questions. So let's see how she goes, and if she does need to change anything, she might keep in her orienteering bag, her place in the car, who knows. Now we've gone back. We are now live. This is now live for the women in the women's elite. So we're seeing the action live. I'm turning to Warren. You might want to say a few words on this little bit.
Well, I think if we're looking at Crystal Newman there, north of 15, heading further north or northeast, that's in the no man's land. I think people call this area the Bermuda Triangle. It's a maze of rocks and low visibility orienteering. It's most likely that Crystal is not only unsure, but almost impossible to pick up where you are. It's a very, very difficult control, this one. Maybe the hardest control on the course if you get on the right-hand, more bland side. If you're on the left-hand side, you're probably a little bit safer where Lanita's running.
Yeah, the left-hand side, you've got the quite a big bit of bare rock and clearing to pick you up if you do miss it. But where Crystal's gone, that, as you say, that's no man's land. That is a lot of low visibility rock, and when you're in that rock trying to figure out where you are, it all looks exactly the same.
Most of the Claire, most of the shorter courses, the 45s and onwards, I think, don't go there. We just got Tara Melhuish coming down off the hill there towards the second last control, about to come off the hill. Looks like she's got tired legs there, crossing the road. The next thing is the fence crossing. She may well be limping a little bit. And she looks like Tara's way out of the race there. Looks like not her best day. She's had some fantastic days over the last year or two, and one of our absolutely promising juniors.
So we're looking fairly confident that Katie Corey Wright might be the winner in that class, and a pretty fast time.
78.
Very good K rate for Katie Corey Wright, with some long K rates today, some over 10 minutes a K for a lot of the courses.
Yes, I think you're right there. So, and Tara and Caroline Paget were the only other two sort of rated in the women 20E that could have taken the win from Katie, but I'm thinking it's going to be Katie myself.
So New Zealand are in the Oceania champs.
Yes,
of course
yes.
They are eligible for the champs, being
Indeed.
Oceania country.
Indeed, and we did have those results handed to us by Katie's father, with Australia leading 29-11, but Katie's going to punch a hole in that all by herself.
Is that just finished? So we've got the women's 21
Back on
elite.
screen, back live.
Okay, so Crystal's still in that very, very difficult thing. Beyond 15 and now making hard yards of it for sure. She'll be in panic mode, as we all have been ourselves. And then heading towards 16, it looks like, Claire, that Lizzie Ingham has caught Tash.
Yep.
And
Yep,
they'll
running
be
together, getting a drink, and they've taken off from that drinks control, that drinks station there, together with Tash a little bit ahead, but both very fast and strong runners, so it'd be interesting. We might see them stay together until the end of the course.
And here comes Tara Malhouche in the finish. She's not powering that out, so I think we can use that as an indicator that there's been a few issues out there. It's been a tough day, but good on it. Well done, Tara. Good to see the support for Tara. She is our leading junior, and this next year turns into seniors, and we're looking forward to her making a WOC team very shortly. Well done, Tara.
So 7th place for Tara Melhuish today.
We could do with some...
We can see Natasha Key and Lizzie Ingham perhaps making a little bit of a blue on number 16.
Maybe bring Tara over or something. Who will get to talk to?
She'll be too knackered.
Yes, Katie. So Lizzie and Tash are just north of the flag. There's reasonably good visibility. So, but there's a broad spur. That controls is by itself challenging, but it's not the world's hardest control. And this next one, 16-17, is a little grind up the hill to remind you that there's more to come, and actually take the edge off your legs in anticipation for the final major route choice. So it'll be interesting what happens here.
He's coming. This is a bit bloody late.
Who's meant to be here already? Doesn't matter.
I think even with those broad hillsides, there's a lot more rock than is shown, but there's certainly a lot of rock out there. So it's a matter of really making sure you're on the bit that's mapped as opposed to the bit that's too small to be shown on the map.
Okay, looks like those two girls have found their way on that tricky 16. It's a little vague. It's a variation in the challenges. Looks like Crystal has found number 15, and that's cost her heavily. As we know, the win always comes from the one that makes the least mistakes. And it's going to be difficult for Crystal, but there's still plenty of racing left to go, and you can see that mistake that Lizzie made at 16 could be enough for her to catch up some time.
Yep. You can see that people are making mistakes in the area where they've got small rock features in the green. So on that control
Yes.
number 16, it's on a rocky ground, which can be hard to, think to yourself what's mapped, and that
Yeah.
little bit of rocky
Yep.
ground. And we actually had that control in women's 45 and
I
the
see.
next one as well. And I remember it was quite tricky. You just coming up that
they've,
hill thinking, when am I going to see it? When am I going to see it? When am I going to see it? And you might see another big rot feature, but finally you actually do see the control, and it's a big relief when you do. That's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Lani does on that one. She was just had a drink, and we've got Angus Haynes on screen.
Who's this Kiwi finish?
He'll be soon coming to the finish, I think, for his class with Duncan Curry behind him. They are two of our new, well, not new for Angus, but new for Duncan. He did jaywalk for the first time, so Duncan's coming down behind Angus, but I don't think they're going to get up to Patrick Miller, if I recall correctly.
Some of you might have noticed in the latest Australian Orienteer, it was Duncan Curry who made that super cool little sprint map for WOC based on Google Earth alone, which is a pretty impressive effort.
What is the time? 1:03. So we're going to welcome Nick Dent, the voice of the forest, our elite specialist and man with infinite knowledge, to the microphone to help us along here. What we're seeing, Nick, is this very demanding long leg. You can see wide route choices.
Thanks, was it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, fantastic. You guys were fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you to Claire and
just saw
to
my
Kathy,
name up
that
on the
was really
screen
great.
to start with. I didn't realise I was out there running the elite course this morning. Well, this feels like a bit thrown in at the deep end, but I'll try and catch up. But we've got up on the big screen at the moment the men's elite, and they are synced. So the majority of them are going from 12 to 13, and we've got Aston Key out in the lead. Brodie Nankervis not too far behind. Peter Hodkinson, and then a group of two New Zealanders, Gene Beveridge, Matt Ogden, and then Matt Crane as well. So the young Key boy is out in the lead. We all know he's now equal with Brodie Nankervis at control 16 on the way to 17.
I think we're going to see this is where you would think the stronger, more mature legs of a Brodie and Pete Hodgkinson will run him down. I'm surprised there. That number 16 is a very tricky control, Nick, no doubt. And I think there'll be trepidation in their heart as they head up to 17, because that's a very, very, very vague area where the control's not visible until you sort of get within the last sort of 50 metres of the flag, and then bang, it pops to you. So it should be, this is nervous times for those two leaders.
Yeah, but the tail is, according to what I'm seeing, the tail is 8 minutes, and it looks like Peter Hodgkinson is 8 minutes down, or just under 8 minutes down on Brodie and Aston, and that's a fair time. Maybe in this terrain, it's now 2 minutes, the tail, it's telling me. So it's not 8 minutes, really. I think it's a gap of about 2.5 to 3 minutes.
There's a lot resting on this. The remaining of the course is there's some challenges, but this number 17 is really quite a tricky one. Looks like Brodie's probably in the better of the two spots there, I'd say, being a little bit north.
What's that?
Uh,
I just saw something on the right-hand side there. I'm not sure. Will Gardner, he was in the lead at 11 to 12. He was in the lead at 12. I can't see his GPS up on the screen I'm looking at now. Okay. That's the fastest time on the leg. So we've got Aston Key and Brody Nankervis in the lead. This is a replay of what we just saw. I'll just try and catch up with what's happening in the women's as well.
So while we're looking at Nick's looking at the women, we're just replaying that. So there looks like there's a cluster of people behind the Key and Nankervis leading two with okay, now we're flicked back to the women's. Yes.
Okay, so I'm up to date with that. Simon is pulled out. I believe Bridget has pulled out of the women's elite course. And we are live with a tail of 3 minutes.
So Lizzie Ingham has caught Tash Key, and they're taking the route from 17 to 18. So they're actually heading out not so far away from where we are, and allowing for the fact there's a little bit of a delay in the coverage. We should see them as they move closer towards the road just directly above the finish area here.
So we're looking for an Australian top and a New Zealand top from the left-hand side on the spur, and they go from left to right. They've got a control up in the rock, and at the moment they don't have a control in the rock. I'll just get up to date.
There we have it. There's number 18. So it's the last of the big ones, Nick. A very, very tough uphill route choice.
And there's Tash on the road, and she's got away from Lizzie Ingham. But I do believe that Lizzie Ingham started behind Tash. And so there's a 3-minute time gap at the start, but at the moment it looks like about 50 metres.
So they're both running rather well. If I put my money on it, it looks like Lizzie's running a little bit fresher there, but she's running for a win here, Nick.
And so you're a commentator with a bias here, are you, Wazza? You've got a wife out there in the women's elite, and you've got a son out there in the men's elite. We don't want too much bias coming through in this commentary.
It's definitely in my vested interest that neither of them do well. It makes me look a little bit better.
All right, well, I'll support them. You can support all the others. So at the moment, there's a bit of the course to go. It's just been taken down, but there's a long run up the road. It's uphill,
I think
and
we're
then
going
they've
to
got
see
to do a bit of climbing.
I think we're going to see them come into shot right in a second, because that's a little bit further up the hill as they battle their way around to the control. This is a rather difficult climb near the end there. They will be working very, very hard.
And to let you know that Lizzie's running time is now 80 minutes. So she's been out there for 1 hour, 20 minutes in this heat in the middle of the day. So it's quite a physical challenge here today. They're running along a road, but they've also got to concentrate to the point of, where am I on the road? Where do I go off? I've got to climb up to the control, and they've got a bit of a loop then to go to 19 and 20, and we've got them on live video. And you can see that Tash is still pushing hard. So the gap is holding of about 50 metres, but no doubt they're waiting for the navigation in the terrain. Lizzie just checking off where she is on the track by looking at the right-hand side, checking a feature, no doubt, working out where she needs to go off the track, up to the control.
I guess she'd be looking ahead to Tash. Lizzie's been going 81 minutes. They're running over the expected winning time for the women's elite. The course setter apologises to that. Anybody pass that on to Tash when she gets home for me, that'd be great.
And just keep in mind that Lizzie doesn't have to go past Tash because she started 3 minutes behind her. So she can just hang on her tail and make sure that she doesn't make any big errors. And then she's won the event today, I think, by the look of it. So it's really the pressure's on Tash to get away from Lizzie once they get it back into the terrain.
Well, if we recall, Nick, when they came through the map change, Tash was actually behind Crystal Newman at that point. Okay, we're flashing back to the men's.
And
this should be interesting.
We've got the time at control 20. Brody Nankervis was on a time of 87.57. Ashton Key was 12 seconds down. So those two were running together. And this is live. So I'm just looking for Brodie Nankervis's GPS tracker.
Heading into 23, top part of the screen there, 22,
Yep.
23, 24.
He's got the advantage, by the look of it, of running with Martin Dent and Matt Crane. And Aston is out by himself, and he's going almost red line.
Tough control. This is the very difficult last section of the course. This is the control that I think the race could be decided on personally, Nick. This is a very physical control. Aston's taking the forest option, which is almost straight, but a difficult climb, and he's almost to the highest point now where he should be able to build a bit of momentum from there.
And I'm assuming that Matt Ogden's is on the same leg, and we can see him way down the side of the hill on a track. So he's going way to the left. The crunch is going to come with Brodie Nankervis. He's almost at control 24, and then we'll see which way he goes. It doesn't surprise me that Aston's going almost straight, because he's been in Finland for quite a while, and no doubt he's been taught over there that unless there's a real reason not to go straight or stick on the red line, that's what you do, because that's the shortest point between 2 points, is the straight line.
Absolutely. Tough one to go straight on. So Ogden's off to the to our right on the screen and heading for that track. That means he's going to crest the hill, which means at least probably 6 to 8 contours more. Brodie's at the control now, the critical 24, the possibly race-deciding route going on right now.
And we've got Martin Dent and Matt Crane with him, and those two are very strong, good runners. Brodie's probably the young one with the technical ability, but I can just say that the winner of this event today, from my understanding, gets a position at WOC in the long distance. No, Simon's shaking his head. Oh, right, of course. There'll be another Oceania Long Distance Championship in 2021, and the winner of that will actually go to WOC Long Distance in 2021. So today is just the glory of winning the Oceania Championships, and it's unusual to be commentating a long distance event in Australia without Simon Uphill in the mix, and he's just standing here behind me. So unfortunate that you're not out there with them, Simon. But we can see that Martin's gone to the right. It looks like Matt Crane and Brodie Nankervis are hanging on the red line.
Those look like they've divided. So Craney's going straight at it, and Brodie as well. That's brave stuff, and consequential. Martin's played to his strength. I would suspect that Martin goes all the way past number 4 and around the road, a bit like Tash and Lizzie. Same leg for the girls as the boys on this control, and I think we're going to find. Oh, I can see a little gap that the Craney and Brodie's going through. That under the escarpment, under that cluster of rocks, there is a gap through there. Difficult running, but it is shown on the map, and you can get through there.
And look at Aston Key. Aston Key is actually, for the last 2 minutes, he's been running along a track. He is still on a track, and that track will take him almost to where Control 7 is. And that looks to me, and I've only just been looking at the map for about 10 minutes, that looks to me like a pretty good route choice by Aston, because there's a track, it takes you to the bend, then you've just got to come across the watercourse, up the other side, and you're almost on Control 25.
Well, talking about route choices, Nick, we've got somebody here who is a genuine expert, our best performing athlete for the last decade or so, give or take. Simon, what are you thinking?
Well, looking at it on there, I think Aston's played a pretty good route choice in staying out of all of the slower forest. He's had to do a little bit more climb, but he's picked a very clear white route through, gone up to that track, got good runnability the whole way. So to me, I do like that way. It'll be interesting to see how quickly Brodie and Matt Crane can get across through this bit of rocky green. But once they get another couple of 100 metres, it again opens up for them. So I think the route choice really comes down to how quick they get through this bit.
And Simon, it looks to me like towards the end of their route near number 8, there's actually a track that they could pick up, which is the same track that Aston's just left, and they could take that track and come off the bend towards number 7. So they're in the very slow part at the moment. I honestly, if I was doing it, I cannot see the advantage of what Martin Dent is doing at all, because he's got some substantial climb to come. Whether he goes right round the bottom like Tash and Lizzie did, I doubt by the look of what I can see on the screen. So Aston is almost right on cue to hit control 18, unless he turns to the